Hey, it's Halloween. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, cool.
Hello.
Where are you? Tell everybody where you are. You're somewhere. Like you're out there with the
I am
owls.
in the undisclosed location in the southeastern deserts of Arizona.
um so you were saying that when you were walking to where you are now that the owls were not far. So
Yeah, they were about a block and a half east of me, but they come to this tree quite often. There's a bunch of whitewash right here and some um, owl pellets, little bones
mm,
from broken down owl pellets, which means they love this tree. They love big messy trees. At least the great horns, which is the ones that are have been following me at least around here. And if we're lucky, hopefully we can hear them, and I'll try and call them throughout the night, and we'll see what we can do.
so for anybody new just like jumping in here, because after this is live now, but after it will be available on both of our YouTubes and all those other places. Tell anybody that didn't catch you before with me your little bit of your journey with the owls. Like how did that come to be?
The owls. I've been called the owl whisperer before,
Yes,
but
I call you that.
well, I feel like they've whispered me. That's the thing is
I think so. Yeah.
they found me, and um, I really had to. I mean, I've had this relationship with them through meditation and stuff. This particular um, couple, I call them a couple. They're a mated pair of a buck and a doe. That's what they call a male and a female. Great horned owls, a buck and a doe, like a deer.
Right.
Um, they, but they kind of adopted me, and so since then, that was almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in February, and since then, I've
Wow.
been trying to, learn their language because there are little intricacies in their language. Like tonight, they were doing a little bit of a monkey call,
Mm.
which is what the males do when they're teaching the babies, the adolescent owls when they're hunting. So there'll be like a
Hmm. I've heard
and
that.
yeah, you probably heard that, and then you've heard their main call, which is like and so that those are like the little intricacies are in the secondary phrases, like the little trill before the two hoots. Like it's anyway, it's just what I've
Wow.
kind of it's what's worked for me getting to know them, and it's helped me get to know two or three other mated pair of great horned owls around here. So
Wow.
it's been fun, and
Wow.
they find me wherever I go now
Mm.
because I've
That's
moved
awesome.
town twice, and they just show up wherever I am.
Do you think that people with like maybe like a higher vibration, do they do you think they attract like animals? What's
Absolutely,
your thoughts?
yeah, absolutely. I think everybody does that. When
Yeah.
dogs love, you know, dogs are immediately drawn to certain people and other people not. You know, they're at a kinder, more loving, on their level, on their vibration. In my Telegram group, we talk about everything being vibration, everything in
Mhm.
hermetics is vibration and frequency and everything like that. And
Mm.
so we talk a lot about frequencies and cymatics and those kind of things are healing frequencies and stuff like that. The animals know this. My friend Brian is like just deer just completely attract to him no matter where he's at. They just flock to him,
Mm.
and it's
For me, it's crows. I don't know why. The
cool.
crows, they come all the time. Oh, we got somebody popping on backstage. It's Chelsea.
What's
Yay!
Gemini.
What's
I messed
up?
up. My bad. Gemini. Hi.
Hey, girl.
Yay.
Happy Halloween.
Yay.
Oh,
They're
I'm
just
sorry. Happy
talking about,
Halloween. We didn't
yeah,
even say Happy
I
Halloween
know.
yet. So,
We were just jumping in talking about owls and stuff. And I'm hoping that we have some friends come on tonight. I invited a few, so it'll be just like a real Halloween party, I guess.
Oh, so
Except
exciting.
my costume is my jammies.
Oh,
I'm
I
in my
love
pajamas.
it.
That's literally just I was like, "Nope, I'm putting the pajamas on.
You
That's
know
it."
what? I appreciate the chillness because I literally just got out of work like 30 minutes ago and I clean houses, so it's not I
Oh,
didn't look
no.
nothing glam. So I was like, shit, like I don't even have anything to wear. So like this is like a little jacket from like 10 years ago that's purpley and
There you go.
Halloween.
That's cute. That
So I
looks
was like,
cool.
fuck it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, should I get I have this pretty badass like devil um mask, but
There you go. You could put that on
I,
intermittently or something, I don't know.
it's too
Um,
much.
but
It's stored
I
away.
I guess I also should say anybody watching, like if you're interested in popping on, telling us one of your ghost stories or some experience you had, send me a quick email at unexplainedrealms@gmail and I will send you the link to pop into this room with us. So anybody that has a scary story, we're willing to listen and let you join us. So
Oh yeah, that's gonna be exciting. I mean, Gordy
yeah.
has a
I
pretty cool
know.
scary
He,
story.
like, keeps teasing me with this whole Queen Mary story, and you guys keep like, "Oh, he's got this amazing story," but I haven't heard the story yet, so
okay. Actually,
I need
do you
the
want me to
story.
start? Or
Yes, yes,
okay.
I need you to tell me the story.
It's okay. It's a couple of stories actually. It starts in Bisbee, Arizona. Um,
Mm,
so one of my things when I was a kid, I had imaginary playmates, and I think I saw spirits and stuff when I was a kid, and I think we were encouraged not to do that, over and over and over again, and that stuff was programmed out of us.
mhm.
And when I had a kid, I thought, if that if that's her thing, I don't want to discourage that. I'd rather encourage her in that, if that's her thing, if that's a thing
Mm.
she's wanting, I don't want to kill that for her. I don't want to kill magic for anybody. But
No, right, yeah.
um, I think it's a skill that anybody can hone if they want to, if that's their desire. Anyway, so she had um, she had some experiences at home, and with seeing a Native American woman walk through our house, and a guy with a top hat, which was probably an ancestor
Mm,
of hers on my ex's side. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, I want to go. There's a really bitchin' town southeast of here called Bisbee, the mining town, and they
mm,
have this pretty famous hotel that's called the Copper Queen, and it's typically, it's got all these haunting stories, right? And even my stepdad was like, "Hey, a ghost touched my toes at that hotel." I'm like, "Okay, bitchin', I want to go." So
wow, right? Yeah.
when my daughter was, I don't know how old she was. Anyway, she's young, and I take the family out there. I'm like, "Cool, let's go do this." And we did a ghost tour. It was in November. It was after Halloween. I couldn't get it in Halloween because it was booked up or something. Um, After Halloween, I did it, and we did the tour, and then come back to the room, and it was a really fun night. They do the typical, this is this, this story's here, this story's here, and one of the one of the places is the Allen House where a cowboy went in. It was a whorehouse and
Mm.
brothel, and a jealous cowboy
How
went
to
in
be
and shot
correct
up
or
like
politically correct.
17 people or something, right?
Yeah.
And so I had taken a picture of it, and I'd gotten 17 orbs. And maybe that's not
Oh,
the number,
wow.
but it was exactly the number
Yeah.
of what they were telling us, how many people had been shot that night.
Oh,
And I'm like,
that's cool.
wow, cool,
That's
okay.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
that's crazy. That was the first thing. So we go back to the hotel, and in this room, there was this one room um, where this woman named Julia Lowell was supposed to haunt, and she would have rose smelling perfume, and you could smell it. Supposedly, that's the story, right?
Hmm.
We go up there, we all settle down. My daughter zonks out immediately because it was a long day, and I start smelling that like this dusty, rosy kind of like old lady perfume kind of smell,
Hmm.
right? I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. So we're settling down. My daughter's on the next bed over there, and on this one, my ex is getting ready. And as I'm sitting in the bed, just chilling, I hear this voice go in, and it's a woman's voice, go in one ear and out the other. And it wasn't around my head; it was like through my head. And I wish I had a stereo microphone so I could do it. It was like,
Yeah. No, I've experienced exactly that. I don't
you
know if
know,
I told you guys while we were on camera or if we were just off camera when I told you. Remember, I thought it was my son, but it was something speaking, and it's exactly that sensation, like
uh-huh.
something speaking through you. I sat right up in bed, like, what the hell is that? So very strange, but yeah, I understand what you mean.
Right. That's the first thing. Um, she comes back to bed, and she goes, "Hey, do you see that?" And we had camera. This was a while ago, so no real good cell phone cameras. Um, and I left our actual camera, regular camera, on the other side of the room. And um, I look over at my daughter, and her hand is just hanging over the bed, right? But it goes like this,
Oh,
like as if somebody went like that, with her hand, and like lifted up and then dropped.
oh, I
And I'm
see.
like, oh, that's
Creepy.
weird.
Yeah, that
And my
is
wife
very.
goes, there is a man walking across the room right now with a tall man with a hat. And I'm like, I can't see it. I'm looking. I'm like, I can't see it. I can't see it. What are you looking at? She's like, go get the camera. And I'm like, what? I can't. I'm like, what am I looking for? She goes, go get the camera. I'm like, oh, right. Okay. So I get up, I walk, the camera's on the other side of the room. I walk towards the camera, and halfway there, I'm like, like stopped, like in my tracks, because it's like an electrical shock. It's like, kind of my arm, the hair on my arm stick up. I'm like, and I turn around, I go, do you? She goes, he's right there. And I go,
Wow.
what? I turn around. She goes, get the damn camera. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh yeah. And so I go, and by the time, of course, he's gone, but I felt it. I walked through this thing that she was seeing at the time, and what I wasn't seeing, but I felt it. So
What did it feel like?
it felt like an electrical shock, like
Mm.
when you stick
Like
a 9-volt battery
tingling.
to your
Mm.
tongue.
Mm.
It's
Electric tingles is how I describe it because I've felt it many times, and it's like electricity, like when you have static on your clothes or something,
Mm.
but elevate that a little more. So kind of interesting feeling.
And then what about, does it also feel spider webby? In all the ghost shows, you always hear spider webby, spider webby.
I guess a little, like I
Not
think
really.
mostly because it kind of ripples through you. That's the only thing I
mm,
think,
Oh,
maybe, but interesting though. Crazy. I like I told you, I think it was off camera. The particular place I live now is very, very haunted. So there's no getting around it. Like my husband was not a believer, and now he totally is like, yeah, there's something here or multiple things here. So today I was looking at something while I was doing some research for a new show, and I'm moving my mouse on the computer in one direction, and it's like something yanked it out of my hand and flung it across the room. I was like, you
mm,
know what? We're not doing this today. I'm busy. So I
wow.
pick up the mouse,
wow.
and then like I'm trying to move it, but the arrow is going in another direction. Oop, we got somebody backstage. Hold on. Let's see. We got Mr. Paul Gambino, I think. Paul! Hey!
Hello.
So, if anybody remembers one of my previous episodes, Paul is an author of some of the spooky, creepy, weird stuff in the world. He writes in his books. So, um, how are you? Can you hear us? Uh-oh. Don't have sound on you. Okay.
We can see you. We can't hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Well, Paul, if you can hear us, we were just telling the first,
Ghost stories.
just got through the first ghost story and heading to, oh, okay. Well, we lost him. Maybe we'll get him back.
Yeah,
He'll come back.
sometimes he's okay, he's messaging. Okay.
That's what happens when we do
Uh,
it live.
He's got bad connection. He's in another location farther from where we are, so connections sometimes are bad. But he'll be back. Anyway, I'm gonna go pull his book stuff too, just so we have it on hand. Anyway, what were we talking about? Where were we?
Your ghost contacted you today and threw
Oh,
your
yeah.
mouse across the
Yeah,
room.
the
So
mouse.
I'm not going to give too much information about what happened. So I picked the mouse up and I'm like, don't do this. And so I'm trying to move the mouse and the arrow is going to the left and I'm trying to make it go to the right. And I think, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to just fight with this ghost. So stop. And then I realized that the arrow is pointing at the exact piece of information that I've been looking for an hour. I was like,
No.
thank you, Ghosty.
Wow.
I love you again. Yeah. This necklace, I've told you guys before, it's a special necklace to me, but it disappears just randomly and you find
Oh,
it in
that's
the
the one.
yeah, I hang it in the same place when I take it off every day and you find it in the linen closet. I have found it on the back of the toilet. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't put it there. So
Wow.
whatever or whomever is haunting my dwelling, they really like to play with this necklace. So strange other things that have occurred surrounding this necklace, but really can't say too much because it would involve somebody that's not present. So, oh, I think we got somebody backstage. Oh, and he's back. Can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Can you guys
That
hear
was
me?
Yay, we can hear you.
Hey,
Yeah, I
So we're
moved.
just
Sorry
kind of
about-
hanging out on, Halloween and telling our own ghost stories. I was telling everybody that my current place that I live is very haunted. Something ripped my mouse out from my hand today and flung it across the room, and so if anyone doesn't know, like we said, try and throw your book cover up there. This was such
My-
a great book, huh?
My next book actually is called Haunted, so maybe I'll be
Really?
reaching out to you people. Yeah,
perfect
It's-
timing.
yeah,
Wow. Can you give us a little idea what it's going to be
yeah.
about?
It's going to document. Not the, it's going to document 10 to 15 colorfully haunted places. Preferably not places that everyone knows of already. They
Mhm.
want me to include. So there'll be a couple chapters, historical chapters, where we'll cite, you know, the standard, the ones that everybody knows, hopefully with a different spin on it that, maybe we'll find something interesting but my whole goal on this was to shoot, because all the haunted books, like when you see these books, the most, it's definitely not going to be like the most haunted places that under that genre. But every time you see a book about haunted, it's always people's ghost stories and very little image driven books.
Right.
on haunted places. So this book is the opposite. This book is a very visually driven about haunted places, and
Mhm. And it was very similar in your more recent book. Let me throw that one, The Art of Gothic Living. You guys pick this up. It is amazing.
okay.
He kind of chronicles several people's houses that literally they don't just use the word gothic. They live, they breathe the gothic lifestyle. Their whole house is, their homes are completely gothic, and some of the most strangest uh, pieces of decor artifacts that you could find in some of these people's houses. Very cool to have seen, put that all in one book and see how other people live out there. So
And can you introduce me to the other people? I don't know who
I'm
they
sorry.
are.
This is Gordy up here, over there. He
Oh
is
yeah.
an owl whisperer, as I call him, a
Oh, interesting.
spiritualist. And this is Gemini.
How are
She
you?
just likes to hang
Hello.
out with us too. She's a
Good to
friend
meet
of
you, Paul.
Cody's.
Nice to meet you both.
Well, we were already into our first ghost story, which was
Oh, let's hear it.
the Queen Copper Queen in Bisbee, Arizona, which has been covered quite a bit, but it's leading to a story at the Queen Mary, which is a overly uh,
Mm,
storied.
yeah, everybody does it.
Everybody tells it, but I went and did it.
Oh yeah.
So after I did I was telling him earlier, I was trying to. Now this might have been in hindsight, this I could have chose this wiser, but I was trying to encourage my daughter. She had some pretty mediumistic gifts yet when she was young, and I wanted to encourage it. So I took her to the Copper Queen. We had a pretty uh, good ghost experience there. I did personally. She didn't much, but as she was sleeping, I was telling them that, that a ghost, something had like moved her hand. Um, wasn't
She
much for
knew it, or
her.
you saw it, or
I
she's
wa- I saw it.
yeah.
I was the only one that saw it, but
Mm.
I'd also had a female voice go through my head, smelling the rose perfume, and also like walking into a ghost that my wife had actually seen, but I didn't see. I walked into it, and it felt like it was like walking into like a 9-volt battery. Like I was
Oh,
shocked, and I, other than that, there um, it was a whole lot of what would it be? Clairsentient,
Mm.
clairaudient. I didn't I didn't see anything.
mm.
Um, so at any rate, so after that experience, a couple years later, I had the idea that if you guys are willing, we'll go do the Copper Queen or do the Queen Mary. Take a road trip and go out to Long Beach and do a night at the Queen Mary. You can do that, right? You could go on a ghost tour and stay the night there. So I'm thinking, cool. I'm game, if anybody else is. So my daughter was probably a little young for this, actually,
Mm.
but it was. So we did the ghost tour, and on that ghost tour, it's the typical. They take you down to the boiler room and to the pool that is supposedly haunted with a child, and the changing rooms, which supposedly have people in it. And um, at any rate, the boiler room experience. They took us down to the boiler room, and um, there's a sign that hangs. I can't remember what it said. I had pictures on an old phone, but I have a picture of it, of the sign, like it's hanging on a chain. But when I took the picture, it was like flat out. It
Hmm.
was like it was sticking out straight like this. And then it like dropped. But it sat like this for like a good second and a half, 2 seconds. Like a 1,000, 2,000, and then dropped after I took the picture. My
That's great.
ex was standing behind me And she said she heard a voice say, "I'm going to knock that fucking thing out of their hands."
Mm.
And
Wow.
at that moment, like her phone, like she had it with both hands, and it just went like this, and she didn't drop it, but the person in front of her, like totally, like her, totally dropped her phone right in front
Wow.
of us, and so that was the first thing. Then we go down to they take us down to the pool room where supposedly you're supposed to hear a young child or something, that young girl that had supposedly drowned. I didn't hear that. Other people said they heard um, a ghostly little girl or something. But what I did see, so there's a platform, like there's the pool. It's like, the sunken pool, and then but there's like a platform above it where you walk, and then there's the changing rooms on the other side. As I was looking across the pool, I could see like a shadow person. I say shadow person, but it's more like smoke person.
I see it all the time. Yeah. Like it's
Yeah,
almost like a silhouette, but not fully a shadow, not fully a person. It's something almost smoke, almost.
right. Like Chelsea and I have talked about like gin type things, um, that'll show up in like or smoke, like the smokeless fire kind of idea. But this seemed like a person. And at any rate, there was that, just real quick. And then they take us around. You have to walk all the way around this platform, to the other side, to these changing rooms, which are where the people would go to the pool, and all there were supposedly a bunch of experiences there. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I walked through there. I didn't see or hear anything, but um, there's only room for like one person at a time walking through this little area. And so I come out, and my ex goes in after me, and I look back, and I see her walk down the hallway, and then into one of the changing rooms. And as I look and I see her go this way, I see her go, and then another shadow of a person go, follow her in there. And then instantly she pops back out, whoop, and like comes right back. She's like, "There's something in there." I go, "Yeah, I know. I saw
Wow.
it." And so afterwards, we're talking to the lady who was running the thing, and I think she had a ghost show or something she was talking about. But we were talking about our experiences in other places, and she had mentioned, because I asked her, "Has anything really, you know, followed you home?" And she's like, "Oh yeah," and I had this crazy long story about how it seemed like something had taken over her son in the back seat when she was going home. And I'm like, man, I would be
Mm-mm.
in the wrong work. I would be leaving that job real quick after that
Yeah.
happened.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, it was a long night. We go back to the rooms. The rooms are tiny. I mean, it's a ship. And so this room was like, it's like a bed and a half kind of room, where you've got a queen bed, and then on the other side, there's like a little, almost like just a walkway where they've stuck a little twin. And we were thinking, put my daughter there, and we could sleep in the queen. And because it's such a small room, they put lots of mirrors in there. And so there's a big mirror at the end of the bed, and I think the front of the bed, and which is a little weird too, having, because I find out later that facing mirrors is probably a bad thing. At
Yeah.
any rate, um, she's really uncomfortable. But by the time we get back, they're both zonked, and I'm stoked about these experiences. And I'm really up, and they both fall asleep instantly, like boom. And I'm like, how are you guys falling asleep? I'm all jazzed up on adrenaline, you know. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here, I guess. And I sit up, but I'm feeling something. Like there's some sort of energy going on. And I sit up and I look at the mirror at the end of the bed, and I see that kind of smoky person kind of in that mirror, and I see it kind of like crawling up. Like say this frame is the mirror frame, and I can see it kind of coming up like this, kind of doing this kind of thing, and it almost looked like, if you've ever seen Venom, when it didn't have a body, it didn't have a host, and it's got all these tendrils kind of going all over the place. It was a little like that. But this thing had teeth. It started to have teeth as it was coming out of this thing. So I'm like, oh shit. I'm starting to, get panicked. I'm looking at my ex and my daughter. I'm like, nobody else is seeing this. What the hell's going on? I'm starting to freak out. And this thing looked like a demon coming out of a mirror. It's like coming out like this thing. And I call on Christ, I'm like, in the name of Christ Jesus, protect me, heavenly angels. And instantly these two beings on the side of the bed show up, and I'm freaking the fuck out. And it was a tall, I wanted to say tall gold person. It's hard to describe other than that. But this thing just puts his hand down on my chest, and so he doesn't really even say a word audibly, but I know it says, "This is our job. Let us do our job." And it put its hand on my chest, and instantly I was calm. I was like, "Oh, okay, you got this." It's like, "We got this." They both, the two beings at the side, it was like they had staffs also, which was interesting. And they both went into the mirror, took that thing, disappeared it into the mirror. And as soon as it happened, I was at peace. I was asleep like that.
Wow.
You're asleep.
And the next morning, I wake up. I'm trying to tell my ex's story. I'm like bawling. I'm like crying. Like, you wouldn't believe what happened. And the thing was coming out, and I was like, oh my god. And I'm like fucking reliving this, right? And I'm like, the angels, and I went.
Imagine her expression.
And she's like, yeah. Because they were asleep. They're completely asleep. I'm like, yeah, it was late at night. I'm like, yeah, but it was not. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so that's my Queen Mary story.
I had a question for you. When you seen these gold beans, did they have any was it more like angelic, or was it like more like Old Testament-y or like Egyptian-y, or did you have any feeling of like origin maybe?
It was definitely angelic, but it was also Egyptian. Like it was a spiritual kind of I mean, clearly it was spiritual, but it was angelic. But when you say Egyptian, it conjures those, the guards in Stargate, in the original Stargate, where they had like the animal heads, but they were men. I mean, they were the tall, thin men, muscular men with
I remember, yeah.
The spear staffs. It was a little like that, but more like they were just golden people, and golden, just it's like they had their own light.
I love how they were like, this is what we do. Like, chill. Like,
Oh yeah, totally.
I love that.
Strange. I think though, like when there's a place I've read that's haunted for a long period of time, like the Queen Mary, for example, it can breed other things, or portals are open for other maybe not so desirable spirits or demons or whatever. So maybe that's what's happening there.
Yeah, and we keep creating it, right? Like we
Mm.
want it to be haunted, so
We have uh, regular ghost tours, which is kind of like this repeating ritual that they do in certain places too.
Mm.
Bringing it back every single time, and people,
Like
and
those
then we
residual hauntings or
and
something.
then we
Like
come on and we share the stories and we tell them again over and over again. It's like, oh yeah, we're bringing it back again. Like I'm probably bringing it back for somebody else to
maybe.
who knows? I don't know, but
Hey,
we
Paul, have
create
you had
things.
any? Paul, have you had any ghost encounters,
Yes,
paranormal?
please, Paul.
Yeah,
Yeah,
have you had any?
I just wanted to say a couple of things on that. One thing is it is hard. Like Gordon was like, you're trying to explain it. It's so surreal that it is like you try to put it into a physical world that we're in. So that's some why there's so much trouble, like people describing what it is, because that's the closest thing you could describe it as, because you're trying to physically manifest it into something that other people can relate to. When like sometimes, like I had two really well, one thing you said that something had happened to me and I didn't know how to phrase it. I was walking my dog and I could swear that somebody was next to me the whole time. Now for a brief point, it was very late, very dark, and I could swear that somebody was there. But how did you refer to that thing when you said that the ghost voice went through your, or like through you sound wise?
Their
What was the
audience,
term? What did you say? I'm sorry.
their audience,
Can you say it slower?
no,
their.
I
Oh,
think
Am
he's
I not
talking
saying it
about
right?
when you described the angelic being talking to you and you knowing.
Oh, the angelic being. Oh,
No,
that.
no, no, not
no,
that.
no, no. When you heard something, like remember how
Oh
I
yeah.
had a similar experience?
Well,
Um,
yeah.
You said it went
And
through you.
like yeah,
yeah.
like it goes through.
That right, and that's I could have swore that there was someone, and then when it actually spoke, it was obvious that it was right there. But I until you said that, that's exactly the way the feeling was. It was like it went like through your auditory thing. From
Um,
in this case it was left to right. But really that's the way as quick as it went in, it left, but it was definitely there for that allocated space of time. So that's one thing that I wanted to comment. Two things. One, that it's very hard to describe. Second, that thing. And then I was going to say something else. Well, I did have a very bad one once. And this is before I really felt anything. Not that I think I feel anything. But I remember I was walking down my block. This is a super personal one. Walking down my block, and my wife and I we had been married, but we just moved to this house, and there was a black thing at my doorway, like at the steps, and it was as clear as day because it actually was day. But once again, for me to explain what it was or to give you a reference, it's virtually impossible because not virtually. And you know what? Maybe it's different
I
for
hope
what
nobody can
everybody
hear
else.
my dog.
Oh, that's
Oh, is that
fine.
your dog? I was like, what is
Yeah.
yelling all crazy?
He wants to be
What
like
does he
he
do?
can hear me in the other room. He's a
Let
very
him in.
no, well, God, no. He climbs up my body, so no.
Oh,
He's a very clingy French bulldog, and he can hear
Oh,
me or
no.
hear people
always
talking.
one of those talking
So
ones.
yeah, he's one of those
He's
screaming,
pissed.
talking,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, let him
belligerent
come in.
little thing. So yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, he's safe. He's happy. He's just
Uh,
pissed off. So sometimes he'll sing. Sometimes he sounds like Chewbacca, but sorry. So
yeah,
go
no, but
on, Paul. I'm sorry.
no, no, no. So it's almost over anyway. And then so I saw that thing. I knew it was bad. I knew it was a bad omen. And And 3 days later, my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and I swear that that's what
Oh
that
my God.
was. I
Wow.
swear that I mean, it was just I was looking at it, and it didn't leave as I got closer and closer and closer. Then it eventually left. But I was like, this fucking thing, that's not a good thing to have standing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? At your front door. You know?
And though you could be, onto something there. Obviously, with my show, I encounter a lot of different people with a lot of different beliefs. And I actually spoke to somebody once that it's like a spiritualist and believed that ailments like cancer or things like that are spiritually related, not through us, but like they are their own entity and they attack or attach itself to us. So you seeing something very black and then that happening, maybe. So
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny you said that. I know a guy who's a very simple Italian guy from the neighborhood kind of guy. You know,
mhm.
works on cars and stuff. This guy, John, and he was talking. He has a it it like so many of these things. They make sense. They don't make sense. You know what I mean? It's like what. And when he was talking, he said that he believes cancer is the devil. And if you really think, you could believe that it could.
It's
It's
something
It's a
it's
definitely.
lower
something,
level
right?
entity.
I'm sorry. What did
Mm.
you say?
It's like a lower level entity.
Exactly. It's just like But once again, like we're trying to do this and say these things. And then I read a really interesting thing about another two, and then I feel like I'm monopolizing things, so I'll be
No,
quick.
you're fine. You're
And
fine.
I'm not telling stories either. I'm just kind of relating stuff.
No, it's
So I don't
okay.
know if there's, but and I think this comes from this. I was interviewed once by somebody from National Geographic, and they made a really good point to me. They were like, I look at your books and I look at all these collectors and these collections, and to me, this is what the interviewer was saying. They look like the people in your books are wrestling between religion and science, and I looked at the stuff, and it really is like that. So many collectors of oddities, including myself,
Mhm.
surround ourselves with religious iconography, usually older pieces, and science, like whether it be osteology or that. So, and I believe it's because a lot of us are trying to, like, we can't figure it out. So the closer, if we surround ourselves with these pieces, we kind of like have some control over what they are. You know what I mean? More,
Mhm.
which you don't. You know.
I agree because I think like when you like for example, I was raised very Catholic, devout Catholic, all the sacraments. As
Uh-huh.
I became an adult, I don't denounce that there's a God, but I don't know that I believe in that specific religion
Uh-huh.
or whatever. But to collect different pieces and understand their history and know where they may have come from feels like it brings you closer to whatever that higher power would be.
Yeah.
Mm.
If that makes sense. That's yeah.
Yeah. And then
Um,
go ahead. Sure. Somebody's gonna say.
Paul, Paul, I was just thinking, as you're saying this, Gemini and I talked about, like alcohol being a spirit, being a spirit attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and after like reading things like the body keeps a score and things like that, where trauma
Mm.
stores itself in the body, um, and illness, all these types of illnesses have, at least in Eastern medicine, have a lot of correlations to either childhood trauma or history
Mm.
or things like that. I wonder if you know those kind of things open us up to spirit attachments, where literally it's a spirit attachment of it manifests itself in this sickness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I'm open to everything, and I really do think that there are certain things that there are certain things that are inexplicable, and it's interesting when you read some of this stuff where, um, especially oncologists who are like, super scientific, as they study certain diseases more and more, they start saying this cannot be manifested physically. This has to be something of a higher thing for it to be able to be that like this. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's where that science and religion thing. I'm not saying it's Catholicism or whatever or something else, but it's like you know, and that's why it's very annoying when people dismiss conversations like this or
I think
it
a lot of people dismiss these types of conversations mainly because they to hold on to their belief, their possibly whatever religion they are, Christian, Baptist, if they stay in their little box right there and not think outside of it, it's easy. It's easier to have to think outside of just one idea becomes a little more mind blowing and more, works your brain, But a lot of people want to stay safe in that box and
Yeah.
just, nope, I can't. You guys are horrible. I can't listen to this kind of conversation because it's wrong. It's not. But I think that's what
yeah.
they're.
And then on the other hand, I read well someone had said something that I thought was really interesting because some of the book that I'm going to do now is about possessed pieces or haunted items or whatever.
That's
And
going to be
somebody made a
cool.
comment
Cool.
that that and I thought this was they were saying that if this box if this particular box manifests an emotion to you, then theoretically this box is haunted. And so in other words, if there is an item that, and it could be because the history of the item or something like that, but if you could look at that and that does something to you, then that box, in a sense, that item has power. You know what I mean? So it's not always like, oh, the entity came into this item and now it is haunted. You know what I mean? It could be that the way it affects you
Hmm.
makes it a haunted item. You know what I mean? I'm not
Very
saying that.
possible.
Yeah,
No,
I'm not.
very possible.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that analogy or whatever because I was thinking that what that would open up people's minds to, you know, that it doesn't have to be that a demon entity entered this, for lack of a better term, the doll thing, and like, oh, now this doll is
So,
possessed. You know
so
what I
I
mean?
have a comment here
Hmm.
from Belinda. She said, "I agree. Alcohol and other drugs open us to attachments, and they possibly stay with us and take over when we continue that behavior and cause chaos." So, um, yeah, and then that's why they call it spirits. I think that's why the name was given spirits,
No,
something
you
like
know
that.
what I heard the name was spirits
Oh,
was from? Is because when they distill the alcohol so far down, it has lost all its so much of its properties that is merely a spirit of what the original ingredient
oh,
was.
that's a cool way of
Yeah,
describing
and
it
I think
too.
that was actually from a distiller. It was like a whiskey distiller or something,
Mm,
and he said that was
mm.
one of the reasons. But
Well,
again,
thank you, Belinda, for that
yes,
comment. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
we
Shout
agree.
out, shout out to Earth Trekking Goddess. That's Belinda. So
Oh,
thank you
okay.
for chiming
Okay.
in.
Yeah. Anyway, so where were we? Sorry, I didn't get to that comment
Mm.
sooner. It just caught my attention right now. Um,
Well, what do you think about the idea that the spirits are kind of there's a huge range of like almost spectrum or even almost a fractilinear spectrum of spirits, like from the micro to the macro. Like we in our Western culture, it's either demonic or angelic. Like there's no in between. But where our friend that we've talked to in our Telegram group, who is Muslim, we talk about the jinn sometimes, and um, there are good and bad jinn in all sorts of ways. There are from little tiny jinn to giant jinn. What do you think about that?
Me or Paul? Oh,
I don't know enough to
Everybody.
comment. Yeah.
I think it would make sense even just scientifically with, I don't know exactly which law, but like the law of polarity, there, or something along those lines. Um, that like yin and yang, like there's
mm,
dark and light to each side of the coin or something along those lines. Like, if that, does that make sense?
yeah. I always wondered, you talk about the jinn, and isn't that Japanese? Yeah.
It's more
Spirits.
like Middle Eastern.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, Middle Eastern. I always wonder, like, do they have their own set of spirits there, or are they their version of something here that we, like, how come we all don't see the same things, you know?
I think it
Same
kind
thing.
of goes well, I guess for me, it would kind of go into like what we're talking about, like for us, I guess some demons have specific names. I don't know
Mhm.
exactly what, but like gluttony or something like that. And then he knows how to present themselves to like say me here, but if he's also somewhere in India doing the same thing, he has to present himself the way he would have power over someone over there.
It makes sense. I get
So I
it.
feel like
Yeah,
they're kind of like
interesting.
the same, but they know how to manipulate us or something like that. Because I
I
think
get
it's in
that.
some sort of sacred text that there's only a certain amount of demons or angels, and then they have the power
Mm,
to manipulate light and present how they need to perform a task.
yeah. Um, so Gemini, do you have a ghost story, a ghost encounter, anything? No?
Um, well, when we were younger, we played. I think for my eighth or ninth birthday, my cousin got me a Ouija board, and
Oh wow.
so we did that on many occasion, and things did happen after. Like a room was never the same, and I remember like having a little sleepover, a bunch of girls, and we're playing the Ouija board, and I did ask, like, well, is my dad gonna die from, because he was battling with alcoholism, and I asked if he was gonna die from that, and it said yes. And it had moved, and I mean, he's still alive, thank God today, but
Mhm.
just like the manipulation of that, and like thinking like that creating fear.
Mm.
And so I have played with the Ouija board on other occasions as well, and it actually moved. And I guess for me, nothing really too traumatizing, but the other day I was kind of like meditating on the floor on a mat, and I also had the Transcend app on, by Huff Paranormal, just to see if things would want to speak back. And at the same time, while I was meditating, I was playing a YouTube of like native flute music, and there was like a picture of like a native on a log with a fire and a teepee. And so I was just there chilling, and it started, and the picture was also foggy, like, a foggy day with a fire, and the Transcend app started saying things like fire, log, um,
Hmm.
which is weird, and I'm sitting down low on a mat, and I asked, "Can you see where I am at?" And it said mat. MAT, low.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, like something is giving me intelligent response, you know? So then I just kind of had a thought to like, well, maybe I'll just take some pictures like in the dark and see what happens. And I was also kind of trying to see if I could feel energy, like, you know, as people do, I guess. And I was like, well, if I could feel anything, I would feel something like in this corner. And so that's where I took the picture. And in the camera, you can see like like an orange light going all the way down, like in that corner.
Wow.
Wow.
So that was pretty like,
Uh,
okay, cool.
I
Something's
actually
happening.
have never touched a Ouija board. I've never even seen one in person.
No,
Never. It would probably explode. Like I'm the spirits are drawn to me. Like it just for some reason. Weird stuff happens to me every single day. Like I'm looking around like, but there's no one in here. What? Why did that just fly across the room? So I know that like I think they're trying to like reach me. Maybe it's for my extended car insurance policy or whatever car warranty. I don't know. I just know that it's a constant thing, and I'm always screaming around the house like, "Stop! Not today!" And my family looks at me like I'm nuts, but
you should
like
download the Transcend app, bro, and just like
I have
see
an
what
app.
happens.
Years ago, I had interviewed a paranormal guy. He created this one app. I don't want to shout it out because I don't have his permission, but um, he had given it to me, so I use it. I don't really use it. It's just on my phone. Like he gave it to me, so whatever. And literally daily, that thing will pop on. My phone will be on my desk. I have a day job, which sucks, but it's a heavy weighted job. I think I've explained to the two of you off camera, but lots of high energy, a lot of politics involved. So that app on some of my worst days will pop on and I'm like, what the hell? And it's like, calm down. The ghosts are telling me to calm down now.
Mhm.
So very interesting. Or I am a published writer as well. I have a few books out. Sometimes I'll think, oh, I should write again, you know, and that app will just pop on and said, it'll say write or, you know,
Mm.
pen. And I
Huh.
interesting. So I'm a magnet for the weird stuff. It sucks.
I love how a lot of your experiences seem to be nudges from the other side.
It's
Um,
constant nudges. Like I don't know. Like I have a really weird life story. It's very tragic. So most of my adult life I have felt like I was bumping around like I didn't know what I have no idea where I'm going. No guidance, you know. I'm successful somehow, but I do think that there were a lot of nudges along the way.
Mm.
I successfully put myself through law school. I'm a realtor in my day life. So a lot of good stuff there, but I felt very lost getting to those points. Like I have no idea what I'm doing, you know, no guidance, no people telling me, all right, here's what you do. So I think maybe that's what's happened with the spirits. I mean, that's just what I'm telling myself because I don't know why, you know.
well, you're telling
Um,
yourself it for a reason, right?
Yeah,
So
well, because I mean, there's
I love
weird
that.
little pushes. So, like today, when the mouse flew out of my hand, I mean, it pissed me off. Like, come on, not today. But I had spent an hour researching something for this show, and I couldn't find what I was looking for, and like trying to like move the mouse, and it's fighting me, and then the arrow is over there. I'm like, oh, there it is. So definitely showing me something, but I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn. So. I don't always listen. So, but yeah, weird daily stuff. But I've never touched a Ouija board. I'm almost afraid to. So,
Well, now
yeah,
that
we'll
I've
have to.
learned about more of it, you know, I probably wouldn't do it again. Or buy another one. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of experimentalist, but knowing that you can you know, if you go knocking on a random door, someone's gonna answer, and so
Mhm. Paul, have you ever played with one, a Ouija board? Any experiences?
Just when I was a kid.
Mm.
But I have a story that's just slightly funny. Um, about seeing, um, my wife is Haitian, right, and her family
Mhm.
is Haitian, so that
Mm.
they grapple between voodoo
Lots of
and Catholicism.
spirituality there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she had a cousin who kept saying that she saw, um, Jesus in the screen door, like in the image of Jesus in the screen door. So she's telling her mother and her grandmother, and they're going, "Oh my God, this is,
Mm.
what's going on? We better call the priest to come in." So her name was Janu, and it still is Janu. And
Mm.
so the priest comes in and sits Janu down, and Janu says, I don't know what this is. I keep seeing Jesus in the screen door. And he's like, "Well, what happens when you see Jesus?" She goes, "I'm really very frightened." And he goes, "Are you frightened every time you see Jesus in the screen door?" And she says, "Yes, yes." She says, he says to her, "Okay, my dear, don't worry about it. That's not Jesus, because if it was Jesus, you would not be afraid. That's Satan who you see." And she just was like, "Oh my
Oh
God."
my God.
You know,
Oops.
that just like threw
not
her.
any better.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, "Ah!" She was only like 13 or something, and it was like, that's not what she wanted to hear.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. What was that whole thing like a year ago that the Vatican came out with a guidebook? So if you were seeing images in your toast or in your screen door,
Oh
what
no.
to do? Do you guys
Oh,
remember
really?
that? Yeah, they and everybody was freaking out like, "Oh my God, they're telling us there's demons." But they actually, I read about it, they actually created that thing in the 70s. They just updated it last year.
Uh,
So, like, if you're
huh.
seeing Jesus in your toast, this is
Right.
basically what you're supposed to do. Say 5 Hail Marys, 7 Our Fathers, and
Oh, I
you're
have to look
fine.
for that. I have to look.
Yeah. I think you could, I mean, it was everywhere. People were making fun of it. Some people were
So they
scared of it.
seriously published this.
Yeah. It was
Wow.
published in the 70s
Right.
originally, and nowadays these youngsters on the internet are like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "No, no, no,
Yeah.
it's not like that. It's it's just basically, I think, reminding the Catholic followers that if you see Jesus, it might not be real. It's just a
Yeah.
piece of toast." So, um yeah, but that was interesting. I'd like to get my hands on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could download it or be interesting.
I would
So
just love to be someone who like imagine like their life of like someone who can work there and like go downstairs into the library.
yes,
Like
the secret rooms of the Vatican or something, the secret library. I don't know. I'm just curious, what on earth could you possibly have there that we haven't already dreamed up, thought of, or
Mm.
AI created online? I mean, what could you possibly
mm,
have?
Do you know that there's a church in Pittsburgh that has more reliquaries than the Vatican?
oh wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What
Pittsburgh's
religion? What
it's
denomination?
Catholic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's there's also, if you're interested in Pittsburgh, there is the most. You got to look it up. There's the most amazing dealer of, um, religious statues that he salvages from,
I think
from
I've heard of
Persia.
that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
his stuff is amazing, and it's just this one guy, or it's like family. He only he has a website, but no prices or anything like that. And if you go to it, if you just look up Pittsburgh
Mhm.
religious, just, and he has photographs of his warehouse, and they're unbelievable. You can only imagine the things that he has in there. They're
Wow.
incredible. And you got to call him up and say, "Oh, I'm interested in this." They're not cheap, but
Mm-mm.
Mm.
they're amazing pieces. But that happens to be in Pittsburgh too. But I found that odd that you know,
Yeah, that they have more over there
yeah.
in the church. I wonder
Well,
what's
you
going
know
on
what?
there.
Like you said, they have allegedly they have more than the Vatican, but who knows what the, like, it's like, you know it's like that whole thing with museums. Like I've asked a lot of collectors, do you think these pieces should be in museums instead of your private collections? And most say that, well, it all depends on the piece, but in in general, you only see something like 20% of what's in a museum's collections. The rest are in storage. So, you know, you more people
From
see they say more people see my stuff than a lot of these pieces. So
Mm.
I'm sure that holds true for the Vatican. But I do agree with you. There must if there's stuff in there that you can't
I can't imagine
can't
though, like,
imagine, like what
yeah,
you know
because I
this
mean, what we
this
know now, you
well,
know,
like if you check, this is another there. If you track how many churches say that they have the nails from the crucifix, there's like 37 nails. You know what I mean? So it's
mm,
like one of those things.
Mhm.
Like it's very
yeah.
hard to get.
I mean, if they've got something chronicling aliens, we would know about that. Come on, the government just told us. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's real. So
yeah.
telling us about paranormal, I mean, 90% of Americans, I actually read this recently, 90% of Americans have had a paranormal experience. So we're seeing it. What the hell could you have in the Vatican written down that we haven't seen already? So I don't think it's a secret anymore. Like whatever you got down there is probably outdated. Like we have visually seen everything there is at this point. So I can't imagine what's
which
so
is a
secretive.
which is an interesting comment on culture of why we if 90%, 97% of Americans have had paranormal experiences, why in polite society, we still deny this stuff.
Mm.
Like we're literally living it. We're denying our other reality that
Because it's
we're actually living.
easier. Remember what
Right.
I said earlier? It's
Because it's a
easier to
fear.
stay in my box and not have to think outside of that because my brain might explode. So
Hmm.
let's just ignore it, you know. So, and I think that I believe it takes really a higher evolved individual to really to know they've had this experience and interact with it and do something with it, you know, or accept it. Um, I think a lot of people have experiences and then they,
Or not be afraid.
yeah, they're
Well,
They
afraid.
deny it.
they deny. My wife says
They
all the time. People ask for signs, ask for signs, ask for signs. They get a sign. Oh, it's coincidence. Well,
Exactly.
what do
right,
And
you want?
right.
I was I had the TikTok lady Anti Matrix on the show and she was saying I want to see an alien. I'm like, but that's the thing. Um I think we all say I want to see an alien, but then when somebody walks up to you and says I'm an alien, you're like, "Oh my god, no you're not. Go get medication." But how do you know? I mean, there's could it possibly be? Do you think a flying saucer is going to land in front of you and a little green guy is going to come out and be like, "Hi, Gemini, I'm an alien"?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how they're going to approach us. If they're already here, there may be people that are saying that to us and we're just dismissing it. So,
That's funny you bring up that subject specifically because I that's immediately what I thought of was when I saw 5 silver orbs in the sky, which was actually coincidentally, it was not coincidentally, probably, but just east of me right here, um, many years ago, maybe 2010s, early 2010s. Um, the guy I was with, the guy I worked with, saw the exact same thing. We both watched it happen and it disappeared right in front of us. We watched it for a good maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20
mm,
minutes, just hang in the sky and then disappear. And the next day, I'm like, Rush, dude, I got to talk about this, man. Like, I am like, blah, 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 blah. Like, did you see him? And then it was this, and like, it was just, and he just nothing, just blank.
he dismissed
Like,
it.
he just dismissed it. He just couldn't deal.
Too much. And again, I think you need to be a little higher evolved to accept it, you know, beyond just the normal stuff in the world. You can't, most people struggle every day and they're angry all the time and they're cutting
Mm.
people off in traffic. That is not a highly evolved person, you know. The only finger they know is their middle one. So there you go. But
which is handy sometimes.
yeah, right. Me too. But the most people, like I said, are I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm in California. People are pissed off over here, like
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time. There's cop calls and fights and people running each other over, and it's just every single day. So I don't think people in California are very highly evolved. So,
Where is everybody else?
huh? You where you guys? Gordy's in Arizona, yeah.
We're
We're
both
in
in
Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
both in
both of you?
Arizona. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul?
New York.
Mhm.
Ah, cool.
When she said
Yeah.
the angry thing, I was like, I
Yeah.
totally know what an angry
You know what's
society is.
weird though is I spent some time in New York for work, some significant time, and people are pissed off there too. I was in Times Square, and I'm very short and kind of little, so I'm like 5 feet or under, and I'm not really a big person. So walking through Times Square with a briefcase, I pretty much got my ass kicked.
Yeah, walking is
Mm.
the
Pretty
thing in
much.
New York. You have to walk very fast and you can't stop. And if you're going to make moves, they have to be with the line. It's a
Yeah,
big
I
deal.
had no idea.
Yeah.
I got sent there and they were like, here's the address. A shuttle dropped me off, or a cab, and I'm like looking up and boom, boom. I think I hit the ground like 3 times.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
No
my.
one helps you up.
Wow.
People are stepping over you, looking at you like, what the hell?
Wow.
Get to
Sounds like
work.
Disneyland.
Yeah. No, but California people are pissed off, but they're driving more
yeah,
over here
driving. Yeah, you're right. That's right.
versus New York. The time I spent, like, there's a lot of foot traffic. Like people
Yeah,
are
in
walking.
Manhattan, yeah. It's
So
one of the
yeah,
few places you actually look, for lack of a better term, cooler walking than driving. Like if you're
pretty
driving,
much.
like what the heck are you driving for? You know, you're not getting anywhere. Yeah.
I've had to learn the hard way too. Like I was in New York, and I don't really remember exactly where it was, but I'm pretty innocent minded. I don't think people are really gonna do bad things. I don't know. I went into a shop with another person, a coworker, and it was like a satanic shop, and the guy was mumbling something. He looked Jamaican and creepy stuff over there. So yeah, I gotta be careful where you
Well,
go.
especially if you go to, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, you definitely have ethnic neighborhoods too, but like we go to, sometimes we go into certain parts of Queens and it's very Haitian.
Hmm.
And you can go into the, into the religious shops there, and it is creepy. It is definitely
Mm.
creepy. And
Some of
there
them
are
are
certain
very
things
creepy.
you don't ask about, and there's things going on in certain rooms.
Oh
Stuff like that.
yeah, there was things going on in there that I can't unsee or unlearn.
Yeah, see,
So,
that's one of the things. I don't know how seriously I am concerned about it, but doing this haunted book, very beginning of this conversation, Gordon, I think, mentioned that thing or something about taking something out with me. I don't want anything following
mhm,
me out. You know what I mean?
being attached to you.
Yeah, I mean
So
that's a trip, man.
when you're
That's
going into preparation for this new book, how close to the objects are you going to be? Will you be
yeah,
actually
that's a good
touching them?
point. Yeah, I mean I don't know. I mean I don't know if I'm going to be close to the objects. Or
Hmm.
I'll be close to some. I mean, the photographer, it's all going to be all original photography, so we're going to reshoot everything,
Hmm.
So, but yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I probably should do some kind of
Cleansing.
protection thing or
Find like a
something.
Oh yeah.
shaman or a witch or somebody to
You
help you
best do
fix
your
it.
intentions.
Yeah.
But oh, Paul, I had a question. What
Mhm.
have you in your research? Any correlations to objects and the photographs you take, and spirits being either a following the photo or entrapment or the photographer or things like that?
Well, the haunted book hasn't started yet, so that.
What
But
about the Gothic book? I
right.
mean, was there anything? Because there's a lot of weird pieces.
Well, it's funny because everybody I ask, I always in the interview, I'll always ask them, and everyone has denied it. Well, not denied it, but they'll say that none of my pieces are haunted, and maybe it's out of ignorance or maybe because or maybe they truly mean it, but they do say, I wish they were, and I don't know
Ah,
how much they really do wish they were, you know what I mean? But you know, and I
Quick
guess this
shout
benevolent
out to
pieces, you
quick
know.
shout out to this person that's leaving us a comment. Maybe it's for one of you guys. He said just dropped in. To
Scatter.
see what condition my OGs were in.
Mhm.
Somebody you guys know? Scatter NSPE.
Yeah, that's our
Welcome.
buddy. That's our
Oh,
buddy in Australia.
okay, well,
Wow.
welcome
Hey, buddy.
in. Nice to see you.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah, right?
Yes, it's
It's
exactly.
not Halloween anymore. Yeah. Well, it's probably pretty late for you too, Paul. Are you a night
Yeah,
owl?
I got to jump off in 5. But you know, that, we did shoot a home in Australia, a really nice home in Australia. Has anybody ever been there?
Not
No.
to
No, me
Australia.
neither. I mean, that talk about a place that a bizarre history, right? I mean, being
Yeah.
basically a penal colony for, Europe, and then all the, the indigenous people. I mean, that place is, and then we're having the most, poisonous, plants and the most poisonous, you know, that's really like I I've only been to Hawaii once, and that was the closest thing I could feel that when I was there. I was like, this is a weird place. I mean, and then you think, well, yeah, it's just this mound of earth that just pushed up in the middle of the Pacific. You know what I mean? So it's like
Mhm.
I
when you
spent like
stand on it.
5 years in Hawaii.
Okay, so it
And
doesn't
then
it feel
hopped on.
geographically like a different world than like
It
you know
very
being
much is. The
right?
culture, the island itself. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just I've been to actually all 8 islands at this point, and I think the smaller ones make me lose my mind a little bit. Like if I'm there for 3 or 4 days, like no, get me out of here. It's like cabin fever, island fever, you know. You can
Mm.
drive to each end of these islands in like 5-10 minutes. So it's like that's it. That's it's kind of weird. A
The
lot of rich
weirdest thing I've
culture.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The weirdest thing I felt was I what's like the is it the Big Island or Honolulu's like the city one?
Mhm.
Okay, so whatever which one that was, we were walking down like I guess the high end street, like the equivalent of almost like Park Avenue, and we were walking down it, and it's these like really, relatively tall buildings, and with like high end shops on the bottom, like Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and then there'll
Mhm.
be a gap, and when you look through the gap, it's the ocean. It's like this is the weirdest thing,
Yep.
because when you
Yeah.
walk, it was like, I don't know. It's just
No, it's yeah.
and I don't even think that this conversation of talking about like the geography of the of the Earth is that far from the initial conversation of spirits and ghosts.
I think it all
It-
correlates
yeah, it's
together.
just
It all
because
ties together.
it's just trying to figure out like where what we don't know. It's like that
I
whole thing.
know.
Your brain's trying to figure out your brain. How's that going to happen?
But
You know what I mean?
but that
Paul,
that's a good one.
Paul,
But I think go ahead.
so I was just thinking like people that collect human skulls and stuff like that, and think they're not haunted, or like the places like around here that have such weird history. Like there's a mission just south of here that there was like fires and shootouts and all sorts of terrible history that really has it. When you walk in to Cent of your mission, you can feel this weirdness.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, there is I don't know if you call it portal, but things hold their history and things hold their weight,
Yeah.
spiritual weight. Like and it's like gravity is, I think almost has a different, there is a gravity to it. It's a different kind of spiritual gravity. And like people like us are probably drawn to these things, or these things are drawn to us, maybe because of our awareness or whatever. And maybe it's like Nietzsche quote, you stare into the abyss stares back, once you're aware of these things, like the UFO experience I was talking about, when I looked at it, as soon as I made the awareness that I'm looking at it, and instantly I got the knowledge, the understanding that it sees me.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at it, but it's looking at me. And as soon as I thought that, it disappeared.
So that's
Hmm.
pretty astute. I would never think that. Yeah. I would always, yeah, maybe it's like narcissism on my part, but I'm always thinking, oh, I'm looking at it. But to think that it's looking back, that's really interesting. Yeah. And that's
Very.
interesting that you say that when you made that, that's when it left. That's interesting.
Hmm. Yeah. It's like, oh no,
Yeah,
I've been
there's
spotted.
I know Gordy has kind of had an experience like that, but like when I've been asleep and experiencing the paralysis,
Yeah.
but I was seeing entities around me at the same
Yeah.
time.
I've had
And
that. Yeah.
as soon as I was like, you know what, I'm tired of being scared. I was like, and as soon as I thought that, the bed went up automatically and then I woke up.
Yeah.
But it
That's
was like
exactly the
something
same.
to it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. That's that.
of
Yeah.
calling it out.
Wow.
And even Scatter, who was just on, he had a similar experience when he was seeing entities. Um, he was somehow lucidly dreaming, also being paralyzed, and the entities were crawling and scaring him. And as soon as he yelled back at him like he wasn't going to
Yeah.
be afraid,
Yeah.
that's when it was released.
Yeah. 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 I
Wow.
went through that for a little while. That was rough. I remember being on my son's bed. I was sleeping in my son's bed. My son was in with my wife, and I could feel the springs in the bed going like this. And then I realized there was no springs in his bed.
Oh
Oh,
no.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. That was pretty creepy.
mm.
You know what?
Wow.
I gotta leave. I have one thing. I had this really
Hmm.
weird thing that you guys might be related to. I'm very bad with. And Gordon, I wasn't saying you were a narcissist. I was saying I was a
No,
narcissist.
hey, I've been
No,
called
no,
worse. That's fine.
no, no, no. But I wasn't saying you. I was saying I
No.
being a
Yeah.
narcissist, not
I
thinking that
appreciate.
you were
Yeah, I
really
understand.
me. Um, that I'm very bad with people taking blood, and from me, and so I'll always lay down. And I had to go for this test where you had to like breathe and breathe and breathe, and then they were going to take blood from your artery to test the oxygen level in your blood, right from your artery, not from your vein, but from your
Mm-mm.
artery. And so I'm in this thing,
Mm.
and they're saying, okay, we're gonna do this thing. You're gonna blow into this thing, and then the nurse is gonna come in. She's gonna. So I do the blowing thing, and I'm doing, you gotta like do this thing with your lungs, fill them up, and go. And then I remember looking at this little label on the thing, and I'm telling the girl, the woman, the nurse practitioner, I said, "This is not gonna work, man. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down if you do this." And she was like, "Oh, she said, no, no, it won't, it won't." And then I went out, right? So I'm knocked, I fainted. And I've fainted plenty of times before from drawing blood. This was the weirdest thing I'll ever experience. And I just related. Has anybody here fainted?
Hmm.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you know how that when you faint, and when you're either coming in or coming out, it's almost pleasant, and it's kind of like you kind of like know where you are. This time, I didn't I I didn't know what I was. It was the oddest thing.
Wow.
I
Mm.
Yeah, I did, and I remember losing it, thinking,
Whoa.
I said to I said, I'm leaving. I'm like, I'm not a thing anymore. And then
Hmm.
when I finally came through, they told me that they were this close to calling an ambulance because I wasn't coming back, and they were
Mm.
like doing all these things, and it was like, I totally believed them that because I had never gone that far away, and it is the strangest thing to not know. Like it wasn't even like I was trying to make rationalize my head. I was like, let me like look
Mm.
down at everybody, or let me do something like I have heard before, like, oh, I could see myself, and I couldn't. I couldn't do anything. I was just not.
In control. Like you're not in control all of a
It
sudden.
wasn't even control.
Yeah.
I knew. I. It's once again, it's one of those things where it's such a surreal kind of experience.
Was it
That,
like you were an energy outside of Earth or something?
yes, but
We're
but
outside
not
of your
even
body.
be but not even be able to look back down at it. See,
Oh,
that's what was
wow.
freaky.
Wow, that's
Yeah, see,
weird.
Oh.
that's what was freaky. And in my head, like, like how you can say, oh, I could see, I couldn't even see black. I couldn't even tell you that I was looking into darkness. There was no reference. There was no reference point.
It's like
Other
he
than
slipped into the womb of no thing that I read about or
real,
something.
I don't know what that is, but there was no reference point. There was no
Wow.
reference point to being a physical thing. There was
Huh.
no reference to being where I was, and it was just like I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm whatever it is. It's whatever I knew that I could reference in the years I've been here. That it's gone. I don't know what this is, and I'm going. And then the next thing I knew, I was waking up on a table, and they were like, "You all right? You're right," because we came very close to having to call an ambulance to get you. So I guess I must have unless it was just incredibly low blood pressure that I was just like, but
Right.
but it was that's the weirdest thing and the best way I could sum it up is I didn't know not who I was, but what I was. And
What?
that was good. And on that note, it's 11 o'clock. I gotta go.
You're
But
gonna
I want to thank you
Wow.
so much for
Well,
inviting me, and it
yeah,
was
thank you
very
so
enjoyable.
much for
And I'm probably
coming.
going to reach out to
Yes.
you guys when
Yes.
when the book deal comes through, and
Yeah,
I'm going to need
you
locations and
come
help
back.
and so, yeah,
Will you
Oh,
come
I
back
would
and
love that.
share your
So
new book with us? And
yeah.
I
I took
can't wait to see
everybody's
that
names
one.
down, and then I'll
There
I'll
you go.
track you guys back down. All right.
Yeah.
good to talk
All
to you,
right.
Paul.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming.
Yes, it was a pleasure
It's good
meeting
to
all of
talk to
you.
you, man.
Yeah. Happy
All right.
Halloween.
You
Yeah, happy
too.
Halloween,
Thank
man.
you.
All right, guys.
Bye.
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 Oh, that was
There you go.
cool. What a
Cool.
cool
He's
guy.
a cool guy. Yeah, really cool. And for any watchers, his newest book that's out right now, Art of Gothic Living. It is amazing. I own a copy. I had him on the show back in August. It was actually my birthday when he came on the show, and I was like, "Look at that,
Oh,
a
cool.
birthday gift for me." So, yeah, it was a fun show, and it's here on YouTube. You can go check it out. So,
How cool, man. Even
yeah.
when I was a kid, like that was Adam's Family, like that's what I wanted my house to look like,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
like
Oh my
when I,
God, you got to take a look at this book because there are some really wild things, and this is not like decoration. This is somebody's lifestyle.
right.
It's just wild. Some of the stuff that the pieces you find in there. He did a really great job on that book, putting it together and telling the story and the history behind it. So,
Oh, I can't wait to flip through it.
yeah, flip through that one. Um, anyway, have you seen any owls, Gordy? Any owls?
I haven't seen any yet since
No, haven't heard
we've been
any.
talking. I haven't,
Mm.
although I should leave one out so I can hear
Yeah,
it
I mean, how
better.
are you gonna hear
'Cause
them?
maybe I
Gordy,
should.
your post, were you saying that raven and that falcon always hang out together?
Oh yeah, so that's been a thing. It's for maybe like a week. That Cooper's hawk and a raven have been together in the same area
Oh,
for
I love that.
like it's wild. I've never seen a relationship like that. Now I have seen owls and hummingbirds, which is interesting.
Oh, really?
Mm,
They're at one of the trees in Vale. There was owls that the hummingbirds would come and hide in that tree. Now I found one paper online that from Northern Arizona University on the Audubon site that hummingbirds, they think that hummingbirds might seek out owls because of natural predators, that they might be
hmm.
able to hide around owls and like knowing that and sleep around them because they're nocturnal. That
Oh, that they'll be protected.
they'll be protected, like they
Oh,
would be around owl trees and in the same areas, knowing that things like peregrine falcons won't get them while they're sleeping, because
Wow.
um,
that'd be smart
hummingbirds
to do.
hummingbirds uh, when they shut down, they like totally shut down. Their metabolism goes so high that when they don't eat enough, they just shut down, and it doesn't
Wow.
happen often or for very long, But when that happens, they are completely vulnerable. So they try and find a messy tree like owls do. The owls like that messy
Mm.
kind of tree where everything's covered, and owls can disappear. You be looking right at them, and it's really hard to see them because of their camouflage and stuff like that. But that's an interesting thing. Yeah, the Cooper hawk and the crow, though, that's a neat little relationship that
Friendship.
I just got a question from someone. They just said, "Do not put me on the screen." Okay, thank you, letting me know. But they want to know if any of us have ever lived in a haunted house. I know
oh
I
yeah,
have.
uh-huh.
100% I have. I am living in one now. I've lived in one before. I think they're all haunted. Yeah, no, I have. Have you guys?
Oh yeah, I think my old house was haunted for sure,
Well, I
but
know
it could
the
be
first one I lived in, my first house as an adult was 100% haunted, and had to bring in people to help clean that house, like
Wow.
spiritually. It didn't work, so I moved,
wow.
but it didn't. It was horrible. It was a crime scene, like a murder. A murder
Oh
had
wow.
happened there,
Oh,
and
Mm.
it
that can
was
leave an imprint.
way out in the country. I thought it was so cool. I was in my 20s. I have friends over and bonfire and have some drinks. Everybody's having fun. And that's cool on the weekends, but during the weekdays I'd be alone with, small children, whatever, my kids. And going to bed, I'd hear thumps on the roof. And I'm like, what the hell is that? There's no trees around here. So what's thumping on the roof? And it would go on like that nightly. And then I guess I wasn't paying attention to those. I think it was trying to get my attention. So the next few days go by, I don't pay attention to the thumping on the roof. I go into my closet, and it's like someone took like a knife and they carved in like a pentagram. It wasn't there
Really?
before. Like, what the hell? Like,
Wow.
that
What?
wasn't there before. Now
Wow.
Oh, hell no.
I had took the house over from a relative. So I knew for a fact that relative did not have affiliations with satanic anything. So couldn't have been them that did that. So then there was a closet that I had never opened in the living room. I don't know. I was crazy in my 20s. I had small kids and I was still trying to be 20. So this one closet I never opened it. And then I don't know why, for some reason, like 6 months later, I decided to open this closet. I was going to put something in it, and the entire thing was covered in black like mold. And I'm like, well, why? There was no leaks, no air, no reason, and it was like dripping down the wall. So we had it tested, and it was not
Oh.
mold. Was not mold.
It was
We
not
don't know what it was.
mold.
It was just black. So I'm like,
Oh my
I'm
god.
like, I'm not scared. I sanded it down and I painted it. And
Okay,
1 week
girl.
later, I opened the closet and it's black again. Yeah. So
Yeah, no thanks.
yeah. Oh, somebody named Robbie Wilson. First time for me. So
Hi,
family.
Robbie.
Hi,
Hi,
Robbie. Welcome.
Robbie. Yeah, I knew that place was haunted. So I called in some people like, hey, something's not right here. And what they did was like a psychic and some kind of a woman, medium, whatever. They brought the history of the house, and they're like, do you know that a woman was kidnapped, tortured, and shot here in this house?
What?
And then like drug deals, whoever that had the house at one time was like, I think they were just druggies, like the kind of drugs coming in and out of the house, parties, being wild, you know what I mean? So I think that residual energy was there. And then I moved the couch one day, and I don't know, something in the wall, there was the bullet holes that somebody had just painted
Whoa.
over, but over time that paint settled in. So, yeah.
Oh man.
And Robbie says, thank you, folks. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, no, the knew that was haunted. There, I mean, I have stories for days about that house. The dining room table would slide across the room. My kids,
Whoa.
I think the oldest was like 3, and I had 2 and 1, and they would just sit there like staring, like what? And I'm like, what are you guys looking at? Oh my god, why is the table moving?
And so, do you consider yourself a medium?
I don't know. I
Because
don't.
it's like you have a lot of activity near you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very strange. I'm a magnet for it. I'm not sure why, but yeah. But that house
You
I
probably
started having
are.
well, that house I started having like at the time I was married. I got married young, and then uh I had my brother-in-law at the time come stay. I was like, I can't do this. I'm scared. I can't sleep. So he came, and we're sitting on the couch watching I Love Lucy reruns, our favorite thing. And someone knocked on the front door that was in front of us. And he's like, just stay here. I'll get it. Okay. He opens the door and there's no one there. And then the back door, like the back door is an old country house. So this door led out to the driveway and out to the street. So someone easily could walk up to the back door and knock on it. Somebody knocked on the back door. He runs over there. No one's there. I mean, just there's stories for days. I mean, I think I lasted there 6 months and I said, no, I can't do it no more.
Wow.
I
Wow.
literally packed my stuff overnight and we left. So yeah, weird. Very weird.
And it's like kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's like when I had done that meditation, and like I told you, I had the app on to the ITC app. Around that time things started happening around the house. Like I'm a night owl, so I'm up, and like I would hear, so everyone's asleep, and I would hear movement in the kitchen, or like in the room next to me. It sounded like um something like uh landed um in the closet next door, like as if it like went through the roof and like landed in the
Oh,
closet. So it's like, is there something to like once you start doing that shit, then they start coming or
maybe. I don't know.
something?
I
But
always,
I haven't
for
heard any
me,
stuff.
I thought it was weird because I'd never played with Ouija boards. I'd never, I saw ghosts as a child though. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm psychic. I know.
I think you're, yeah,
Um,
I totally think something like
Yeah, you
anyway,
are.
no, I used to see like a white lady in a white gown, and I would tell my mom, and she's like, "Where?" I'm like, "She just floats out of my closet," and people would see it all through that house as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Nowadays they're more annoying than anything because like
they
it's like
keep telling you to do
telling
stuff.
me, I'm like, stop it. I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. Give me the winning lottery numbers.
Right. Give me. Isn't that the thing? It's always like,
Right?
give me something useful for God's sakes. Just
Exactly.
don't tell me I'm on a
Today
mat. I know
was
I'm on a
today
mat. Like,
today was powerful though, because once I stopped fighting the mouse, because I was like, no, you're gonna go this way.
right.
When I stopped fighting it and I looked, I was like, oh, okay, so you're actually helping me, not just pissing me off today. All
Yeah.
right. We're
But they
good.
are. They are useful. I mean, it's telling you to write that you need to write
Mm,
more. I mean,
it's really
they
hard.
are
Yeah.
nudging. I know, right? Jeez,
My day,
so hard.
life in my day is, you guys, I explained to you it. There's very little time to be creative minded. You just come home and want to stare at the wall sometimes. So,
Hmm.
it's not always easy to write. But no, I agree. I should. But mm,
When the creative juices are ready, then you'll do it, you know?
yeah,
But
well,
sometimes it's nice to just veg out and watch a show
yeah.
and not think, "Oh, I've been watching, Grotesquerie." Have you watched
Good
that?
show. I've been watching that. But
Haven't yet.
I was really shocked how graphic it is.
It
Like
is done
I
so
love
well.
I love horror. That's my thing. But I was really shocked because FX is just like a main cable type of channel. So the what decapitated bodies and torsos and blood. I was like, That's a lot for regular TV.
And the
So
actors are doing so
yeah,
well.
they are. Yeah, they are.
I mean, I'm just
Is
like
that
blown
Niecy
away
Nash?
by
Is
their
that who that
acting.
is? Yeah.
With
The
Nancy
actress.
Nash, especially when I watch like Reno
Mhm.
911 and then
Mhm.
I see her in this, it's like,
Oh, that's that lady.
Yeah.
Oh,
Niecy Nash.
interesting. Huh.
She's very versatile and she's doing amazing in this one. But that storyline, the nun. I mean, what's up with the nun?
oh,
I'm
I know.
telling you,
And
I think the nun. I
the
think the
father.
nun. Mhm. I think the nun is the killer. I think she's the
Do
serious. She's too
you?
into it. Like how does a nun follow crime scenes around? The nun has a whole ass podcast. Like what? Like what? It's just that's. I think it's her. I'll bet you money.
Interesting.
No, we'll make a bet. Uh,
Interesting. But
you don't
did
think
you see
so?
the one that recently where she went and met Glorious in the trailer? What was weird
Mm,
for me is how the people the three people that were coming around the trailer with the guns, and then Nancy Nash acted like it was no big thing. And it's like, what were those Glorious people, or was that the guy
I
that
don't.
was trying to kill her?
I
That
was
was
kind of
a little
struggling
weird.
with that one too because I didn't really. Some scenes occasionally, I'm like scratching my head, like what's going on there? Like what did I miss? You know?
That's what I was thinking too, but then I'm
Mhm.
thinking everything's a nightmare. I think she's in her own nightmare, or maybe she's the
Maybe
one who ends up in a coma, or
that's what I was thinking too. Like
something like that.
they're depicting her husband in a coma, but what if it's really her?
Yeah,
You know?
because very
Um,
nightmarish. Everything's a nightmare.
right. Not only that, like the relationship between her and her daughter is a very fever dreamish, don't you think?
Yeah,
Like she's the overeater, mom's the drunk, and they're like just battling each other all the time. And I think that's just really strange.
yeah,
Their relationship is very strange. So um I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I think she's either dead in a coma or having a bad dream. That's
Mhm.
what I think. I still think the nun's the killer.
That's an
I don't know.
interesting theme. The
Yeah.
things being in a dream. I was thinking about that this week because, like people start talking about, Halloween movies and Nightmare Before Christmas or not Nightmare Before Christmas. Well, that too, I guess, but Nightmare on Elm Street. But I was thinking about like the ones that actually scared me were like Jacob's Ladder. Like Jacob's Ladder is a
Mm,
trip, and you don't know what's a dream and what's real in it. But like we've talked about in other chats, what is a dream and what is real, and that there are a lot of different kinds of native beliefs that this is the dream, and the dream is what's real. You know,
I actually wrote a whole book based on my dreams. Like I have a horror short story book out. It's supposed to be a 4-part series. I've only got book 1 out. Every single short
Right.
story I know. I'm working on it now. Every one of the short
we're trying
stories
spirits.
every one of the short stories was one of my nightmares, one of my dreams. Like every
Oh
single
wow.
story.
My
I
God.
would wake
Well,
up, sit up out of bed like, "What the hell did I just dream?" I dream like in TV movies and it's full on and you if you read the book, I mean, I'll send you guys a copy for free. It's called Inside My Nightmares because that's where it came
wow.
from.
Wow.
Crazy stuff, but yeah, each of the short stories are fiction, but works of my brain. I'm so glad my husband loves me because if he didn't, he would be like, "What the hell?" Yeah, I'd probably be single forever if he
I can't
hadn't
believe you've had
realized
so
that.
many vivid nightmares that you were able to write about them and create a
I
book.
have so many of
That's
them
insane.
still that I need to put them in the new books. So I was trying to categorize. I have so many. I write them down. I'll wake up at night. I'll either, if I don't want to get out of bed, I have spine disease, so I don't jump up right away. I will take my phone and make notes so that I can remember. Sometimes I actually get up and go write it out. Just depends on how I feel or how early it is in the morning. So, but I have enough to do 3 more books at least. So, but I was trying to
Just
categorize them. So like animals or,
Mm.
crime or yeah. Gordy, you were
does
gonna say
something
something?
help you?
Huh?
Like what helps you Is there anything that helps you write your dreams out? Because I dream, but I forget them a lot, and I have a
I
hard time writing them out. But when I
I was
do,
doing that
they're
too. I started voice memoing it. Like
okay.
immediately when you
Oh,
wake up, just say what just happened in your head.
Uh-huh.
And then go back later when you're more awake, level-headed, and then, try to rework. Because when you're hearing yourself say your dream, it'll come back to you. Like it does for me anyway.
gotcha. Because I
So
even like got so far as to bring the notebook next to the nightstand,
Yeah, I
but
do that
I
too.
still
just
don't even get
you
as far
if
as
you ever
doing that.
if you ever had like an hour with my phone, you'd be like, "What the hell is this girl do?" Because there's all these whisper notes on my phone because it's like 4 in the morning. And, and then this happened, and there was blood everywhere. So yeah, that there's a lot of weird stuff on my phone, like that. Because if you wake up, you're not going to remember. And with my condition, sometimes I just have to stay flat. I can't jump up. I have to kind of like, all right, we're gonna figure this out. So technology is my best friend at this point because I
Good.
pretty much have to rely on it for everything.
Mm.
So
Wow,
but yeah, definitely pick your phone up and voice
I'm gonna
like a
do
little
that.
voice memo.
And
There's
Interesting.
it's like my dreams. I've complained about them to Gordon and the group before, but it's like they're very mundane, they're very boring, they're very like I got to complete a task or get somewhere or go somewhere, and it's very boring and very nonchalant. So it amazes me, like when you say you've had so many crazy dreams of like horror, and my ex, same thing. He would have these crazy, horrible, like you
mm,
said, blood ridden and killing and slashing. And I'm like,
yeah,
I've never gotten there.
maybe I don't know that you want to though. I mean,
No, I don't think I
you-
want to, but it's just insane how
mm,
the brain and
but look
all
for
the
the
dreaming.
signs in your own mundane dreams. Look for the signs. There's something. I mean, you're dreaming it for a reason. The one I mean, I've dreamed all my life, but they were like your dreams, just normal. I would see my own day and at work, or dream about your pet, or just normal dreams. And one day I woke up, I had a dream about two teenagers who were going to go to the prom, and I was like, my dreams are a little bit lucid too, because I am sitting back like, why am I dreaming this? I'm able to think that, like, why am I
Oh
dreaming this?
wow.
And so I'm thinking, did I watch this movie before bed? It's like, what am I doing? And basically, one of the stories, I'll just give it to you here. It's called the night after prom. Two teenagers. He's new to the school. She's pretty little redhead. He's Hispanic Mexican. She falls head over heels, and he's just sweet talking her and like, okay. So he takes her to the prom. He actually buys her dress, sweet talks her mom. Mom is single, works lots of double shifts at a diner. She go to prom, everything's great. And of course, the young girl is kind of throwing herself at him like, hey, it's prom night. You know what people do. He's like, no, 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 no. I don't want to do this cliche stuff. I'm going to do this with you tomorrow night under the full moon, and I'm going to make love to you and all this crazy stuff. So she gets so excited. He goes to pick her up the next night, and he stops in a dark, desolate place. And she's like, what are we doing? He said, we're going to have a picnic. And I brought champagne. And now they're teenagers, so that's very taboo. And she's like, oh my God, okay, let's do it. He drugged the champagne. She passes out. He puts her in the
Mm.
trunk. He takes her to his cult down the road. And yeah, they sacrifice her.
And you
How
dreamt this
wild.
Yes,
in your
it scared the
dream?
shit out of me. I woke my husband
Wow.
up like, "Help!" And he's like, "What?" Like, he's like, "It's just a dream. Breathe." And I'm like, it was so vivid, so vivid. I got up at 2:30 in the morning. I was dripping sweat. Sat up, like woke him up. He's like, I don't just breathe. I had to go take a shower just to kind of like at 2:30 in the morning just to get my
No.
head. And then I just started writing it. It took me about 24 hours to get it down. So
So
And so
okay.
you're watching
The,
this, you're not the girl and you're not the
no, no,
guy.
this it's
yeah.
sometimes I look at it like, did I see this in a movie? Like, where is this coming from? So, Mm,
But do they have correlation with your waking life sometimes?
nope.
Those kind of stories? No, they're
No,
just separate stories. They're just
completely
because
nothing that would have
that's
anything to
funny.
do with me. Yeah.
I had, we were talking in the group about the sharing our dreams and stuff.
Mm,
I had this dream recently where I was helping a cult, and or somebody in my family had ousted this and
mm,
cult, and they weren't really a cult. They were just, spiritual people trying to do a thing, and they were being persecuted as a cult. And I was like, oh wow, that's weird. And then I was trying to see if those had it was a whole thing, and I was trying to see if that had any correlation to my waking life too. But it it almost is a story of itself, and I wonder sometimes
mm.
that, you know and people say this, that we are living other lives in our dreams. Do you
Maybe.
feel like sometimes the
My husband and I occasionally will, like, after I've had some really bad nights, he's like, "Okay, you look exhausted." I love whiskey. I'm not a heavy drinker. It's just an occasional thing, but I love the taste of it. So he'll pour me a little glass and we'll sit down and he's like talking to me about, okay, so and it basically, it's not anything you're reliving in your life. It's weird. So I lost my thought. I don't know where I'm going with that.
well, sometimes
Oh
it's
darn.
somebody, I had somebody popping up. I have comments. But they don't want them put on the screen. So I'm trying to do both things here. So anyway, sorry,
I
I lost my thought.
like as soon as you say this and you've gotten so many that you've made a book, it just makes me think like, and spirit wants you to write. It's
right.
like you
Here's
see
the
all
book.
these little shows. It's like,
There's the front
Oh, very
cover.
cool.
wow.
Well, plug your books. Where can we get your books?
Amazon. I don't know. I don't plug it. I don't know, very like I don't know. I don't plug the books too much. I don't know why. I just don't.
That is cool
That
though.
is really cool.
Yeah. I'm working on the second one, and then we'll go from there. It's supposed to be a 4 set series, but they're not very long. I think like 100 pages or something. So, and they're all. I think those are all hardback. Just I wanted it to be like a tabletop piece, coffee table piece. See, she's
Oh.
sleeping here,
Mm.
and she's got spiders crawling out of her ears. That's kind of me. That's me at night. No, the dream.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but just weird stuff.
So
I
neat.
think our dreams tell us stuff. Not mine, but like normal people's dreams tell you things. Like not mine. So but like like if you have a normal back before this kind of stuff, I used to dream normal and I would look at it like a sign. Like what's the synchronicity there? What was meant for me to see? Um Now they're just too wild.
Mm.
I don't know.
I kind of had a really cool one the other day where I was myself, and of course I can't remember it all, but basically I was having to go back to this two-story house that seemed to be kind of in the woods but in a neighborhood, and there was tons of people that like that lived there and that were going in and out, and and I had just gotten there with a group like three other people, and we were like running away from someone or something. And so like I would get to the backyard and there's like this guy and he's like, okay, so we're gonna bring out the animals and they're gonna help protect us, but you need to be careful because they can attack you if they sense um that your energy is, I don't know, not part of
Mm,
the families or negative or something. And I was like, oh my God, like,
hmm.
okay. So like,
Weird.
so I sit on his lap and he's like, okay, so they're gonna come out right now. And it was like this scary looking pig with wings.
Ooh.
And it was really scary. And he's like, okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna, whenever you get scared, just pick up your arms like this and just look at them, and then they'll come and sniff them and sense um if you're okay or not. And he was like,
That's
just try not to be scared. And I was like, and so I did it. And luckily the pig like passed by me. And then like I look over here and another someone from the house is bringing out a dinosaur, like a
Oh,
T-Rex type of dinosaur. And
there's a lot of symbolism there. Like if you
I
look at
know, I
those
did look it up. I did
pieces,
look up the
yeah,
pig,
there might be
the
something there.
dinosaurs.
Yeah,
So that was kind of strange.
that is weird.
That's
What about
funny.
you, Gordy?
Well, I was just thinking that's how you whisper an owl. That's how you get cool with any predator. I think, you chill out if they're, if they're not gonna attack, not predator, but a threatened animal. If you're not threatening, if you're on the same vibration, the same frequency as them, they will see you as a fellow, one of them.
Mm,
If you can match that frequency. But that takes a lot of, internal work and, meditation and feeling that intention of getting on that animal's frequency, knowing enough about that animal and knowing how you're going, not necessarily how, because you have to figure that out, but that is how I think we can maybe even talk to dragons or something, how, they like you've seen the like that, like House of Dragons, when there's like one person that'll go to get on the dragon or whatever, and they're killed,
Right.
because they're not on the right frequency. It's the same thing with I follow Turons of Yellowstone. I love
mm,
Yellowstone.
yeah.
Yellowstone is like a magical place to me, and
Mm,
it's a sacred space. I think if we have very very few sacred spaces in the United States, but it's unfortunate that uh, it is such a tourist trap, but it is a sacred space. And you see people all the time getting mauled by bears, being uh, gored by bison and moose and stuff because people just, you know, they think I'm going to go pet a bison because they think they're cute or whatever. And somebody gets their
yeah.
arm ripped off by a
I think,
bear.
oh my God. I think they're asking all of us, I would assume. What's your favorite horror movie, favorite candy?
Oh,
And
My
who
favorite
wants to go
candy
first?
is the nerd gummies where it
Ooh,
has
those are
the gummy
good.
with the
Yeah.
nerds around it.
Hmm.
That's my
What
favorite.
about favorite horror movie?
Um,
Serpent and the Rainbow.
No?
no, I don't really have one. I like anything with like possession and um exorcisms and shit like that.
Mm. All right, Gordy, you next. What's your favorite horror movie and favorite candy?
Uh, yeah, Serpent and the Rainbow. I don't know about candy. Um, I don't know if that's even my favorite horror movie. That was just one that freaked me out as a
Mm-hmm.
kid. Like when I
Mm.
saw it probably too early, and
Yeah.
Alien, the first Alien, Um,
Mm.
but my favorite is not. I don't think it's even horror. It's Bride of Frankenstein. I think it's
I
fun.
guess it's horror-ish. Yeah, I think it's
And
horror.
Army of
I mean, for that
Darkness.
time. Oh
Army
yeah.
of Darkness is still hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Best lines.
My favorite movie is probably like Pulp Fiction. I love that movie.
Oh, there you go. I think that's horror-ish.
Yeah, that's horrorish.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Anne?
I am a huge listen, if I hadn't married my husband, I would have married Michael Myers. I'm a Halloween fan. I love Halloween. Actually, when we were first like together, first dating, I forced him to watch all the Halloween movies with me, like all day long.
How
Yeah,
romantic.
I
So do
still
you
force
just
him to
love
watch
that
them.
girl's TikTok where she records her husband and he's Michael Myers doing
And that's hilarious.
on the grass or whatever?
Mhm.
Oh, I know. I love
Yeah, and candy, I don't eat candy. I'm diabetic. But if I did, it would totally be those nerd gummies because those are I've tasted them. Those are good.
They're delish, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I've
that
been
was.
addicted to them before. And I love the Reese's Nutrageous. That's a good one.
Mhm. Oh yeah, that's a good one. And Gordy, you bring up like Serpent and the Rainbow. I know that you were doing a live a couple nights ago, and I wasn't able to jump in on the camera. I was in the middle of a few things, but I was trying to come in the comments, and we were talking about horror movies. And I had said, like I'm probably the only person in the world that's never seen the movie The Exorcist.
I was going to bring that up.
Mhm.
But the book.
Because I read the book.
Uh-huh.
I told my grandmother I can read the book. She had it. She's like, "No, that's gonna scare the hell out of you." No, grandma, I'm totally like, no. I'm in the 6th grade. Yeah, I read the damn thing and I didn't sleep for 3 months.
Oh my
It scared the hell out of me. So
gosh.
I have never seen the movie. I mean, I know I've seen way worse horror movies nowadays. Like there's some really gruesome stuff that I've seen. We all have. But I don't know, have like this weird aversion to seeing the original Exorcist because I'm still like that 12-year-old mind. I'm scared. So
Mhm.
I probably should watch it. Have you guys seen it or no?
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I
Mhm.
do love it. Yeah. I
Is
have.
it like am I gonna get scared?
I don't know about now because the graphic, it's
It's
so
not as bad as like what's out there now. I
yeah.
mean, the
It's
Grotesquerie, just the
gnarly,
TV show. Yeah, the Grotesquerie TV show is pretty graphic.
Yeah.
So
we're so desensitized anymore. We see gore is pretty
mm,
normalized, but I still love the old stuff. Like Psycho doesn't show violence.
Oh, I
Um,
love
no, but
oh.
it's a mind bender,
well,
like
I
really.
saw, what's was really fun is I saw Nosferatu with a live band that did the
Mhm,
soundtrack to
mhm,
it. And they were called the Invincible Czars. And they also did uh Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. If you guys have never seen those two silent movies, they're silent, but
mhm,
I don't know if those guys still do live shows with those movies everywhere at
mhm.
like art houses,
Yeah,
but it's so cool
That would be
watching it.
fun.
Watching Nosferatu with, I mean, I love both those movies anyway.
mhm.
Um, but watching them with a live band that's actually doing a new soundtrack gives it
That's cool.
a weird, a different meaning, even like a different aesthetic
Mhm,
that is a little even deeper. Like Dr. Kagari is about mesmerism and creating a kind of MK Ultra kind of what do you call it? Almost like a Manchurian Candidate kind of story
hmm,
where he has this guy who lives who's under a trance, which is also kind of a um, Serpent and a Rainbow thing where they create this zombie man and who
mhm.
goes out and does crime at night and
Oh, Robbie is answering the question. Trilogy of
Oh,
Terror and Pecan Turtles. I bet
oh,
you that's a good candy. Sounds good.
oh, yeah.
Thanks. Trilogy of Terror. I've never seen that.
never say it.
Mm-mm.
But I used to love the old like Tales from the Crypt. Those are
Oh,
always
me and
fun.
my grandma used to watch those all the time.
Oh my god. Tales from the Crypt. I just saw it. It was on TV like a marathon like last weekend.
Well,
And it
I'm a
was
Nickelodeon
busy.
kid, so did you guys
Oh,
ever do the Are You Afraid of the Dark?
yes, those were good. Those were
I loved that, yeah.
cute. They
Or
were cute.
So Weird, I don't know if you remember So Weird.
Mhm.
Oh, I loved that show.
Cute. But yeah, Tales from the Crypt was fun. And what was the other one? There was another one that was
What's
similar.
the what's the one with Stephen King as the
Mhm.
Jordy Farrell, you lunkhead. Can't
Yeah,
remember
but
what.
I can't remember
Not it's not
the
Tales from the Crypt. It's
Tales from the Dark Side was another one I
Oh,
saw.
Dark Side. Yeah.
It was the Tales
You
from the
know,
Dark Side.
what
So
still
yeah.
holds up is Twilight Zone. I
Oh my
I
God,
still love
yes.
Twilight Zone.
Oh, I
God,
watched that
Rod
show
Serling
I
is a
too.
genius.
I was introduced to the weird and creepy world from my grandparents. Like I used to watch the Twilight Zone with them.
Yeah,
My
same.
grandmother was like, "No, you can't read The Exorcist. It'll scare you." Oh no, I'm gonna read it. It scared me. We would sit outside on weekends and look at the stars and signal with lighters. Maybe
Oh,
the
how
aliens
fun.
will see us. And my grandparents were very into mysticism and one of my sisters and I, we were talking about that recently. Like, wow, how amazing. We didn't really think about it back then. We are just like, whatever. Now looking back, like how amazing was it
What
to
a
have
blessing.
such open-minded grandparents, and in a time like in the 70s and 80s that it wasn't, that was like, what, your grandparents believe in what? I mean, my grandfather, I didn't really understand it until I got older, but I think it was like when I was 7 or 8, I was mad and throwing a fit, and he basically taught me how to meditate without saying the word. He was like, sit down, look at the trees. I'm like, why am I looking at the trees? It's like, watch the leaves move. Watch them move. Then watch another leaf move and watch them all come together and sway. And it was like a form of meditation, and it
Wow.
calms you. I have that ability to do that now because he taught it to me when I was a child. So I don't know a lot about the history of where it came from, how they were very mystical people, but they were, and it's really awesome to look back at the things that they taught us. So, um, oh, oh, somebody else's favorite movie. Poltergeist scared the shit
Oh,
out of me when I was little. And
Poltergeist.
FYI, that's my husband. Hi, honey.
Hey, Chris.
Oh, hey, what's up?
So Poltergeist scared you? It scared me. You know what scared me about Poltergeist? The clown scene. The clown. Do you
Oh,
remember that? The clown, he came out
the
of the
robot clown or the toy
No,
clown?
no, the toy clown. Was he a
Yeah.
robot maybe?
Oh, man.
All I know is that that scene scared the hell out of me. Because he was snatching the kids and came to life, and yeah.
Well, poltergeist, like in real life, have always really interested me, and I was a
Mhm.
fan of the Dead Files, and when the medium had went through the house, she could see the poltergeist, and it was gnarly because the poltergeist was actually it was who was living in the house was a mom and her two older sons, and it looked like they were like a blue collar family, and one son dealt with drugs and the other didn't, or something like that. And one of the sons and the mom were always fighting, and then they were having tons of poltergeist activity, and it was scary, and unnerving, because the poltergeist was actually taking on the face of the mom,
Oh my god, I've actually
meaning
read
that the
that.
live
That happens.
mom was
Mhm.
creating the poltergeist.
Because isn't a poltergeist just energy? It's just
Yeah, that
energy.
live people,
Which
I guess, can
if
make or
we
create.
go back to the actual 80s movie Poltergeist, how does that all fit together? Was it the
Which,
energy of the children, or because then the whole element in the Poltergeist movie was that the house was built on a burial ground. So I mean, now you look back and you're like, what? None of it made sense. Great movie, but they were crossing some themes there, so it didn't make sense.
well, and that you talk about maybe it becoming its own egregore. Like it's a story from the 50s, retold in the 80s. And then there's
Mm,
all these curses on the cast that's happened with
I
them. And,
know, that's
that,
crazy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Well, Heather O'Rourke passed away upon the last Poltergeist movie. She died. They just wrapped up filming or something. We're
the,
halfway through it.
the oldest daughter from the first
Mm-hmm.
movie was killed before it even came out. She was
Mm-hmm.
stalked by her boyfriend and murdered. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a couple others. And then one of the main actors was in a airplane accident, and it was just crazy
Yeah,
the stuff that
the little
happened with
girl Heather
that cat.
O'Rourke. Yeah, she
Heather
died.
O'Rourke. died
Yeah.
freakishly from a condition they
Bowel,
had, bowel obstruction or
bowel
something like that.
obstruction, yeah.
Oh
Like
my
her
God.
intestines were punctured or something. It was just really creepy. Horrible way for a
Oh,
child.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
We
Horrible.
freak
talk a lot
birth.
about demonic things wanting to squeeze your intestines and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Oof, I don't know. Yeah. Um Creepy. Though I think they overdid it with the Poltergeist movie. I think 1 and 2 was great, but if they kept going like that, it was just like, all right, this it doesn't. How much longer can you get chased by a poltergeist? I mean, you already left the house. Like it's just following you.
Well,
Then again, I don't.
on Netflix, I've always loved, The Haunting of, and like they've
Mm,
done different
that's a good one.
iterations.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, I like that. The Haunting of was it Connecticut? That one scared me a little bit. That was
Oh
creepy.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then the one with the where she has the box, where she opens the box, the Dybbuk box or
Oh,
whatever.
the Dybbuk box. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
that
crazy
one.
story too, which is
Yeah.
based on a real thing.
I know that
Speaking
movie.
of haunted objects,
Oh, what's
oh,
haunted? Oh, your
oh, the
camera.
Dybbuk box itself,
Oh, yeah. No, I know.
having a demon inside a wine
Mm,
box.
the movie that we came out in the 2000s. I think they said it was based on a true story.
Hmm.
That's creepy though. Yeah, don't buy strange boxes or dolls at yard sales. That's the moral of the story.
If you do, cleanse it real good.
Yeah.
Figure out how to get rid of it.
And maybe some people don't mind. I mean, I wonder though if that so if there's an item that you come in, it comes into your world, it's possessed. Does it 100% affect every person? Like, say Gordy has it first and he's like, I never had any problem with it, but I'm going to give it to Anne because I don't really like it. I'm like, oh my God, this thing is haunted. What the hell? And you're like, I never had any issue with it. Could it haunt one person and not the other? I guess that would be
Mm,
a question for Paul, huh?
yeah.
I have
Um,
seen that definitely happen. Well, I mean, from watching, different shows and
is it
stuff.
because someone's not sensitive to the
Yeah.
spirit or were they
They're not
closed
sensitive
off?
to it, or they don't have some sort of opening to that demonic figurehead.
Mhm.
I guess I it's like in my family we're kind of open to the spirit of addiction,
Mhm.
but maybe we're not open to the spirit of something else,
Mhm.
And I think it's like that with haunted, thinking of it in those terms, that's how it is with haunted objects too.
Maybe. Interesting.
Something
I've
You
like
know,
never come across a haunted object before, so.
I think that my house. You were talking about living in a haunted house. My old house, I think it was built on, Indian land, so that my daughter would see an Indian woman walk through the house. But
Oh, wow.
she would also see a man who wore a top hat and a suit who would walk through the house, which I think was maybe more of a residual thing because we had these chairs from her great great grandfather
Wow.
that I think was him, and it just from what she described um, sounds just like pictures of and like how they described this man who owned these chairs that we'd had in the house, and
oh, weird.
I always wondered if it. I mean, I'm convinced it was him, but we would hear
Mhm.
voices from the kitchen and like you know I don't know. I personally had heard stuff, but I never saw those people. But there was definitely things happening in that house. So
Mm,
I don't know if it was the things in the house or the vibe in the
maybe.
house or the
Maybe.
people bringing it in. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of that poltergeist story was that the children, it had
Mhm.
come through the children, or that it was a lot of the poltergeist lore is that adolescent or teenagers, it happens a lot in those houses where those kids have a lot of energy, like hormonal
Angst
adolescence,
and
and
anger and
yeah, all that pent
Mhm.
up stuff, maybe creates it. Maybe we create it ourselves.
I do believe in that. I had multiple teenagers at one time. Like my kids were all kind of close in age, except for the youngest. Poor kid. He's kind of like the only child now. But when all of the rest of them were teenagers, like doors would slam on their own, thumps would happen at night, and
Wow.
sometimes they would be completely gone. Everybody's gone. I have the baby with me and he's quiet, but I hear the kids, the teenage kids. I'm like, what the
Oh
hell?
my
And
god.
it's just their energy, and I primarily had majority girls, so you can the hormones and the stuff going on there. So yeah, I would hear them when they weren't there, and I'm like, what the hell? So I do believe that the poltergeist energy comes from kids, teenagers.
Wow, that would make
Mhm.
sense.
Yep.
Do your daughters see spirits as well, like you do?
Um, I they're very sensitive. We'll put it that way. We'll just leave it
Wow.
alone. I don't want to get into too much about them because they're adults living their lives, but they are very
That's cool.
sensitive. All of them are. Even the youngest, he's sensitive. He's a lot more sensitive than the rest of them. He's very
Interesting.
intuitive. He's 15 and picks up on things. I'm like, what? Like, so it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
When he was little, he used to tell me, "Mommy, that person has blue hair." I'm like, "Dude, that's blonde hair." I thought he was just like mistaking, blue for blonde, the word. But then he'd say, "No, that person has purple hair or red hair." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh,
Couple
like they're
family
own.
members got together and they're like, "We think he's seeing auras." I'm like,
Yeah, that's what I
"Oh,
was thinking.
my bad."
He's
Wow.
seeing
And it
auras.
made
Interesting.
sense whenever he would say that person has red. I would say, "Oh, that person's a really kind of a jerk. They're kind of mean and nasty." So you read anger.
Huh.
So he was seeing like their auras or something. I don't know, but very
Wow.
interesting. He was probably like 3 or 3.5. We were scratching our head looking at him like, "What is wrong? Are you colorblind?" So,
Right?
yeah. So, but
That is neat.
I'm gonna
yeah.
try and walk
Oh,
a little
let's
bit,
see if we can see the
see how
owl.
far we can get, and
Yeah.
maybe we can see an owl out. If I lose
Mm.
signal, I'll try and come back.
Okay.
But
Otherwise, we're gonna have to wrap this up in a
uh,
little bit. It's been
yeah, before it
uh,
goes too late,
yeah.
we'll see if we can catch one, because they were not too far off. But
Mhm.
if I could call some, they haven't been. I have to listen for them. They haven't been listening for me lately.
Mhm. They're
But
not cooperating
I
lately.
mean,
I
they're
mean, it
not
is
cooperating.
Halloween. They're
It's all right.
probably out there
They're
just,
busy.
yeah. They're out
Flying
there
souls
flying
around.
around. Right. They're out there doing Halloween things. Owl Halloween things, whatever that is. But
Halloween.
yeah.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Does
Exactly.
that work when you call them like that or?
Yeah, it does sometimes. I've shared in the group. There's a kind of a technique that
Mhm.
it's um, that works better when you resonate it in your chest a lot more.
Mhm.
The sound, it's the vibration that you feel in your chest, like when you're singing um, deeply. You sing from your diaphragm deep
Mhm.
in your gut. Like an opera, you sing way down here, which seems to work better with the owls if I can get it. And I know when I do it well, they will respond a lot better. There's a clip on my Instagram where I kind of nail it, and I know I nail it because one of them looks back at me and it's like, "Did he just say and then they both the male and the female are like, woo, 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 you know.
Anybody wants to check out his Instagram, it is there scrolling across the screen, and you can catch those clips over there.
Awesome, thank
Um,
you.
You're welcome.
But I have seen one of those clips is from an owl that was sitting right over here.
Mm.
So we'll see. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure they're doing Halloween stuff tonight.
yeah, they're busy. That's fine.
They're fluttering around, all the little kids trick or treating. Or
Yeah.
have you seen anybody trick or treating in your area?
I saw one ghost face.
Aw, yeah.
So he waved at me. So it was cool. Oh, and then earlier today I seen a little like 3-year-old Super Mario. So that was cool. I told him
Aw,
hi. He said hi
that's
back.
cool. Yeah, I haven't really been out to go look, or I've been here with you guys. So this is the first year I think that I have not done anything with any of the kids. So they're all doing their own thing, and it's like, oh, feels weird to be like
Oh, I bet.
without, like you
Mhm.
spend your whole adult life taking care of your kids. Everything's about them. You do everything for them, and then once that's done, you're like, now what? So very interesting shift. So, but yeah,
Changes are wild, aren't they?
yep. But it's the only thing constant. So,
That's right.
yep. No owls, nothing.
Nothing yet. No.
Oh, I think I see a comment. Oh, Belinda, I enjoyed your chat. I'm in Florida, so I'm signing off. Good night. Enjoy your Halloween. Sam Hayden. Hope you see some owls. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Belinda.
watching.
That's so cool. She popped in. That's great to
Yeah.
see you.
I also have another comment from Robbie. Do you think that next year's Halloween will be like this and the previous ones? Are you guys feeling that something sinister is going on? I'm not sure. I mean, I think every year changes. The world changes. Politics change. Who knows what next year will bring? I don't
They're
think
getting
there's
better.
anything sinister. Yeah, maybe it'll get better. Hopefully, we can hope. I don't feel like there's anything sinister happening right now in the world.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it positive too. Like everything's gonna work out.
Yeah, we have to.
Blah
I
blah blah.
mean, otherwise we'll make ourselves crazy. We can't. We have
I
to
think
stay positive.
I think sinister has been the norm, and I think that, I mean, sinister in a negative way, but I don't know that sinister is necessarily has to be a bad thing. Like maybe it's sinister in our own sinister way. Like,
Maybe.
I mean, maybe we're changing it by our vibes and having these discussions where we don't have to be afraid of stuff so much. Maybe we can redefine it.
Right.
Right. That's what I'm trying to do. Like not be so afraid. Just in general, like of my dreams, or when I meditate, or if I feel like an entity or energy, I'm trying not to be afraid.
I don't have fear for some reason. I don't experience fear only in the perspective of like when it has to do with my children. Like I worry, so but I don't really have fear. So I don't wake up from a dream like scared. I wake up like what the hell just happened, and feeling like the physical pieces of it because I dreamed something like that made my heart race, but I don't really have like fears, so it's weird. Even like seeing or feeling or sensing spirits or whatever, I see things being thrown across the room. It doesn't scare me, it irritates me more. I'm like, stop it. So
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's been so constant in my life that it doesn't
Mhm.
bother me. But so he said, good point, but had to mention it. Thank you. Thank you for being on with us. Um, Still no owls? No?
Nothing yet. They'll
Mm,
show up when
yeah. When
as
we're
soon
out.
as we get off or something. They're like
Yeah.
haha.
Mm. As soon as we go off, they're going to be like, hi.
Yep. They're
Mm,
Risa
Yeah.
right.
just laughing at me.
Well, one night we'll have to come on just for the specific purpose of owl whispering,
Yeah.
We'll just kind of hopefully maybe do like a live feed of just the owls when you find them. Be cool.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to like get way out in the desert to
Mm.
have them
But then you might not have signal.
get
So
exactly. That's the
no.
thing is I have to I'll have to
Well,
tape
if
it
you
and then
ever tape it, we can come on here and come on screen and
Mm.
then I can put it up as a video and then we can chat about it.
yeah.
Mhm. Then we can actually see that firsthand. Owls and the owl whisperer over here. So,
It
yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
It's
Mm,
fun. But they call me. Sometimes it's 4:30 in the morning.
wow.
And so when they do, it's like either like, oh, is it too cold to wake up? Is it too early? Like, come on, why do you want to talk to me now? But I try and get up, and they will sit there, and the male and female will show up. But lately, it's been that Cooper's hawk and crow that's been showing up.
Hmm.
So I think animals speak to us in a lot of different ways.
Mm.
Even I have on my Instagram, I have auger. I put that as one of my titles, and I thought about that for a long time. Like, do I really want to use this? But the way that birds have shown me in different ways, not just the owls, but roadrunners and the Cooper's hawks and
Mm.
reading a lot of the shamanic books, like the Toltec books of animal spiritual meanings and things like that. Once we kind of understand that they do have, if we kind of see them as symbolic meanings that the universe, and not just uh, birds, but all sorts of animals, I think can teach us like the trickster of coyote. A lot of times, it's telling us something. When we're thinking of something and we hear coyote call us, or they're going crazy, maybe we should be paying attention to what we're thinking about or what's going on in our lives at that time. And
I
uh
don't know. I lived in Santa Cruz, California for a while by the ocean, and I would sit on my patio and you'd hear one coyote and you're like, oh, okay. And then you'd hear four. And
huh
then it sounded like 20, and you're like, okay, now I'm going in the
huh
house.
yeah,
We're done
I've
here.
there's
So
been
we're not,
times I've been
yeah.
walking out in the desert and I'll hear one over here, and then I'll hear one behind me, but then I'll hear
Mhm,
like three or four like on the other side, and you're like, I may be in a vulnerable
mhm.
place. I'm
And then strangely enough, so I actually
Oh,
lived
there's some howling right now.
oh,
see
oh wow. I actually
tricksters.
lived on a wildlife preserve. That's where it was
Oh,
so
Oh,
where I lived,
cool.
cool.
really cool. And I would walk at a path I could walk to the beach, like these cliffs, and I could go. So I was walking one day, and generally you don't see coyotes come out in broad daylight, not in a heavy trafficked area with humans. You usually just don't see that out there. But I'm walking, no one's around me, and I hear a coyote howl. I'm like, oh, come on, it's the middle of the day, really. and I'm looking around, and there was one staring at me, like right, like 20 feet away from me, and
Oh.
I was like,
Wow, cool.
okay, like, do I run? Do I scream? Do I lay down and play dead? What do I do? Like, yeah, because like that, and that was a very, very weird experience because I didn't know what to do. It was wildlife preserved by the ocean, so there's not. It's very flat. There's not a lot of trees to conceal you, so you're kind of just like in the open. So I don't even know. What do you do? Do you run from coyotes? What are you supposed to do?
I don't, unless the only time when I'm outside and it's nighttime, like one time I was meditating and that thing happened where they were all around me and they started going off. It sounded like 50 of them. I
Yeah.
found that as a spiritual experience, right? Them
It is.
being one with me or whatever. But there was a separate time I was also in the backyard and there was one that I could hear that was just in the trees where I couldn't see him, and
Mm,
he was doing a call that seemed kind of aggravated or scary, like he was annoyed, and I hightailed my ass back inside the house,
wow.
you know.
That
So,
one's for you, Gordy. Happy
Hey,
Halloween.
Eric, that's my buddy. He's here in this area too. Good to see you, Eric.
hello.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
he even has the owl there. That's cool.
Oh, I think it's maybe, yeah, there's Owl. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to wrap this up. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes. So
All right.
no, it's
It
gonna
was
get
good
late. I'm
chit-chatting
pretty
with
sure.
you guys.
Yeah.
And thanks for doing this. This is fun.
Want to do it again. We'll do
Yes,
another.
I've been listening to your pods. I started from like the very first one, and I'm like
Yeah, there's a
going
lot of
through them.
changes that have occurred. Audio is different, have different network production crews. So the older episodes probably don't sound like the newer
I
episodes.
just got finished with the spirit cooking one.
Okay,
with
that one we
Marilyn.
remastered, so it may be, there are some with from the early days with like lower quality, lower audio quality, just different production and network people. So now things are a little different. I actually have more control over everything at this point, so I get to write a little bit more creatively as well. So start from now and then go backwards. Because then
That's what
you'll
I've
get
been
the
doing.
good
I've been
stuff.
going
You'll get
backwards.
the good
Yeah.
stuff. Because like I've remastered like Spirit Cooking, or we remastered that one. But there is some really bad episodes out there with bad audio quality. So happens.
Yep.
But it was a long time ago. So
You're doing your thing, girl.
yeah, well, I need to go. I'm falling asleep. I purposely put my pajamas on because I knew that was going to happen. I'm an old
Ready
lady. I
to
need to
just
go.
roll into bed now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll just go to bed. So it was good to see you
Perfect.
guys, and we will do
You
this
too.
again soon. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Halloween,
Yep.
everyone.
Thanks again.
All right. Bye.